My name's Avery. This is the first video I'm posting on my channel. I love to read, and I thought I would, document my reading experience and read books and share with you guys and just let you know how I like them or if they're good or anything like that. So I was at Chapters Indigo, whatever it's called now, and I found this book. It's called A Crown of Ivy and Glass, and it came out, I believe, May 9th of this year, so about a month from when I'm filming this. And I've heard it has been, I wouldn't say like described as these books, but good for fans of the following books. So I guess someone left a review and it said it was good for people who are fans of Bridgerton or A Court of Thorns and Roses. Now, I like both of those series, so I thought I would give this book a try. Yeah, and I'll read off the description on Goodreads and tell you its rating. Okay, so the description is as follows. Lady Gemma Ashbourne, interesting last name, seemingly has it all. She's young, gorgeous, and rich. Her family was anointed by the gods, blessed with incredible abilities, but underneath her glittering facade, I think it's facade, facade, Gemma is deeply sad. Years ago, her sister Myra, that's an interesting, Myra, M-A-R-A, Myra, was taken to the Middle Mist to guard against treacherous magic. Her mother abandoned the family. Her father and eldest sister, Farron, interesting, okay, Farron, embroiled in a deadly blood feud with the mysterious Basque family, often forgetting Gemma exists. Worst of all, Gemma is the only Ashbourne to possess no magic. Of course, there's magic in this book. I wonder if there's gonna be like fairies too. It seems like it's giving like fairy vibes if it's, I guess, recommended for A Court of Thorns and Roses fans. So we'll see, I guess. Seems like all books nowadays, like all fantasy books nowadays are like, they all have like fairies or fae sort of stuff in it, but whatever, I digress. Instead, her body fights it like poison, constantly ill, aching with loneliness. Gemma craves love and yearns to belong. Then she meets the devastatingly handsome Talon Dazer? Oh my god, okay. Talon Dazer. Let me see how I'm supposed to pronounce this 1 second. Okay. So I tried to look it up. There's no resources online about how I'm supposed to pronounce this man's name. Talon is correct. His first name is good. I did that correctly. His last name, I said Dazer. So here, I'll turn it up to see. So this is, I put into like Google Translate and to see sort of how it pronounced it. So this is how it pronounces it.
Talon Diastier.
Talon Diastier. Okay, so that's good to know. Okay, so back to reading the synopsis of this novel. Oh my god, this is taking a while. Okay. Then she meets the devastatingly handsome Talon Diastier. I like Dazer better. I'm gonna go with Dazer. His family destroyed themselves, seduced by a demon. Okay, so there's demons in this book. Good to know. And Talon, the only survivor, is determined to redeem their honor. Intrigued and enchanted, Gemma proposes a bargain. She'll help Talon navigate high society if he helps her destroy the Basques. According to popular legend, a demon called the Man with the Three-Eyed Crown, okay, is behind the family's blood feud. Slay the demon. End the feud. But attacks on the Middle Mist are increasing. The plot against the Basque quickly spiral out of control, and something immense and terrifying is awakened in Gemma, drawing her exorbitantly towards Talon. Of course, what do we expect? And an all-consuming passion that could destroy her, yes, of course, and shows her the true strength of her power at last. Okay, that's the synopsis. On Goodreads, it has a 3.2 rating, and 504 people have rated this. So not a lot of people have rated this novel yet, probably due to the fact that it came out like a month ago. That's what I'm guessing. And this is supposed to be the first part of a trilogy, the Middle Mist trilogy. Yeah, so I know the same amount as you guys, or like I know what's gonna happen, or I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, I know sort of what the book is about based off the synopsis. I don't have any inside knowledge. I haven't seen any like clips of this on like Book Talk or Insta Talk or whatever it's called. No, I literally just saw this on the shelf and picked it up. So let's get into it. Before we start, I was gonna do, I guess, my predictions based off the synopsis of the novel. One, I think Lady Gemma Ashbourne is actually gonna have powers, because in the synopsis it says, oh, she has no powers. I think she does have powers, and I think they're actually like better or like greater than, and she's more powerful than either everyone else in her family or like the whole realm, her whole kingdom sort of thing. Actually, I don't think she's a queen. I think she's just a lady. So I just think she has like immense powers. I think somehow it's someone or like something is maybe suppressing her powers. So that's like something she needs to, I guess, get into. It says her father and her eldest sister have like a feud. So maybe one of them is sort of suppressing her powers so the other one can't, I guess, like use Gemma as like a tool in their fight or something. I think that's gonna happen. For some reason, I'm getting the vibes from the synopsis that this Talon guy, also I've never read this novel, I might be completely wrong, I probably am. I'm getting the vibes that this Talon guy might be the demon called the man with the three-headed crown. I don't know. I'm kind of getting those vibes from the synopsis, because it says his whole family, it was destroyed and he's the only survivor, and they have to find this demon. And I'm thinking, well, if Talon's whole family is dead, no one can say like, oh, that's not the real Talon. And so I think maybe this demon is like masquerading as Talon. I don't know why. I don't know. This is just sort of the vibes I'm getting. We'll see if I'm right. There probably will be spoilers in this video, because yeah, I like to sort of go along. Feel free to read this book along with me if you have it. Yeah, but now I will start reading the book. Sorry, the book. The book. I will start reading the book. Okay, yeah, so let's go. I haven't even started it yet, but the I don't remember what it's called, but the dedication to this book. Oh, I didn't even say who it's by. Sorry. The author's name is Claire Legrand. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Sorry, Claire, if I'm not saying it right. Love your name though. Anyways, the dedication, it's to Ken. Now, I'm sure this is like probably like, I don't know, her husband or something. But the reason, I don't know, I find this really funny because the new Barbie movie is coming out in July, like next month. Super hyped for it. I'm ready to go. July 21st. I have the date memorized. I'm gonna go see it. Yeah, so when it says to Ken, I'm kind of like, I'm living for it, because Ken, Love Margot Robbie. Definitely gonna read it. Oh my god, I'm definitely gonna see it. You can't read a movie. Sorry. There's actually a trigger warning. I can't remember if that's the correct word for it. But an author's note, which is actually really good. That's great. So it just has these sort of, I guess, topic. If you don't want to read something that has these sort of discussions and topics in it, then maybe this book might not be for you. So that's, I guess, a good point to keep in mind. Still haven't read the book yet, but this book has a very extensive, pardon me, map, which we love because it's always great to sort of be able to situate yourself and sort of imagine, I guess, where the characters are within that section of the novel much better than like if they're like, oh, we're in this area and now we're over here, and you're like, I have no idea where any of those places are. Sorry, my hair is bothering me. You're like, I have no idea where any of those places are. Thanks for sort of like the description of it. So yeah, love a fantasy novel with a map. We love. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but when there's a book with a map, I like study the map intensely and I try to remember where all the names are. And then when I come across the first name of a place, I like flip back to where the map is so I can be like, okay, where are we? What's going on? Yeah, so that's what I do when a book has a map included in it. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this thought, but yeah, love me a map in my novels. So chef's kiss. Also, can we just take a moment to appreciate the name of the sea? The Gloaming Sea. The Gloaming Sea. That is so fun. She has a lot of actually really fun names for all the places. I'm kind of loving it. The Little Grays, the Great Grays, Ravenswood. Yeah, she did a really good job naming, I guess, all of the different areas and such. Yeah, I really like it. Okay, so I'm about 2 pages in. So far, I like her style of writing. I think it is a lot like Sarah J. Maas. Like, I guess like a lot of inner dialogue, just I guess sort of the style of writing that she does. That's in no way saying it's bad. Like, I do like it. Yeah, but I don't know. I am getting the vibes of Sarah J. Maas while reading this. Granted, I am only 2 pages in, so we'll see. Also, I'm a little confused because I thought this girl's name was Gemma, but on the second page, she's talking about like her and her 2 sisters, and it says, and me, Emojine, I think that's how you pronounce that, the youngest. So I'm like, is this girl's name not Gemma? Is Gemma like a middle name? Is like Emojine, like her middle name? I'm like, I'm a bit confused. I will say though that so far the world building is going well. Granted, I'm on the second page, so we'll see. It's sort of setting up the fact that like she was supposed to be chosen for something. Gemma, Emojine, this girl. Oh, do you think maybe Gemma is a nickname? Maybe Gemma's a nickname. I just thought of that. Yeah, maybe her actual real name is Emojine. Here, I'll show you. I cannot pronounce names. I'm terrible with names. I don't know what it is. Here, I'll just show you. Okay, this, also excuse my nails, they are disgusting, but it says her and me, Emojine. I don't know. So maybe I saw this part and I thought, oh, Gemma's not her real name. Girl, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, but so far she's doing well, like sort of setting up the situation, like Gemma, Miss Emojine, was supposed to be taken. So we'll see what happens with that, I guess. This is on the second page, so it's not really a spoiler. But Gemma was supposed to go to the Middle Mist. So now we have something called the Order of the Rose. Very suspicious name. Actually, I don't know if I would say suspicious, but a very distinguished name, I guess. Yeah, and apparently they take like the youngest daughter to Middle Mist. For what reason, we do not know, really. Order of the Rose, baby. Also, that reminds me of, I don't know about you guys, but I'm freaking obsessed with the Da Vinci Code movies. Love me some Tom Hanks. He's awesome. He's a great actor. And Order of the Rose, like, is giving me like Da Vinci vibes, probably because whatever, they have that order who's, actually I don't want to spoil the movie, but it's been out for like 20 million years, so it's probably fine. But they have like I think it's also called the Order of the Rose. I think it's been so long since I've seen it. And like basically protecting like Mary Magdalene's body and stuff, and they leave like a rose where she used to be and such. But yeah, it's very much giving me Da Vinci Code vibes. I think maybe that's just because I love that movie, and so that's why I'm thinking about it. Yeah, so maybe there will be some Mary Magdalene shenanigans that happen in this film. We will see. Okay, so now we're finding out that Miss Gemma, Miss Emojini Genius, she's a little bit of an attention seeker, I think is the better way to describe it. Because this is YouTube and I don't want to be demonetized on my first video. So but she just loves all the gossip, and she loves just, you know, getting the best seat at the restaurant and having people like fawn over her, and, you know, being the like the it girly of Middle Miss. She's the Sophia Richie of Middle Miss, if you will. Yeah, so that's an interesting plot point to a character. I don't know if I've ever read a novel, like a fantasy book, where the main girl, like the main girly that we're following, is like, ooh, I love the tea, I love the drama, I love to be worshipped, and I love people just, you know, loving me. I don't know if I've ever read a novel like that, because normally the main girl is all like, I'm not like other girls, I have all these like interests that are not like other girls. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's very much like, oh, don't look at me, I'm so plain. And then they're like the most beautiful girl the main male lead has ever seen in his life, you know, like that sort of thing. And you're like, okay, come on, girl, like, we know you're not like a Little Miss Plain Jane over here, you know, right? And so I don't know if I've actually ever read a book, like a fantasy book, where the main girl is like, I'm the shit, or, you know, like, I'm the best, like, go me. And I think that's really interesting. That's, I guess, like a cool plot point. And it's kind of fun to see that, because I do think like girls need more, I guess, like representation in books to like feel okay with being like, yeah, I like, you know, having people like me, and I like, you know, having nice things and whatever, stuff like that. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing, but I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool to just point out. So that's a little bit different, a little something different about Miss Emojine Gemma, whatever her name is. I should just start calling her Gemma, because I'm so confused about what her actual name is. Maybe they'll explain it. I'm sure they will, but yeah, I think that was cool. Okay, yeah, so they literally, a page later, they literally say like, oh, it's a nickname because her sister, Mara, even though Gemma would have been like, because his Mara was like 3, but Mara is the middle one. So Gemma was like, I don't know, much younger, maybe like a year or something. They don't really just say how, well, they haven't said the age difference in between them yet. But basically, Mira didn't like Emo Jean, Emma Jean, whatever. And so it was like giving her nicknames and whatever. They landed on Gemma as her nickname. Honestly, I don't know why, like, basically they had to have that in the book. I feel like that's kind of a bit unnecessary. Her name just could have been Gemma from the beginning. It didn't need to be like this old grandma name and then have like thing like, oh my god, it's her nickname, Gemma. Yeah, maybe it was sort of for like Gemma wasn't like, you know, like highbrow enough or something, and so her name could have just been Gemma from the start. But so far, not hating the book. So okay, T. This lighting is interesting. Okay, so they have like this portal in their backyard. What is it called? The Greenway, I think. That's kind of fun because they're having to do like a 4 days journey, but instead they could just like pop in this little portal thing. So it's a fun little time, yeah. Okay, so the author's also sort of situating us really early on that like any magic that Gemma is around or touches or like breathes makes her sick, like deadly ill, like, you know. And yeah, so I guess that's like a good thing. Like she like first few pages she's like, I'm on it, girl, you're gonna know what is the sitch, what's the situazione. Something to note, this book, she is thick, we love. It's 549 pages long. It is a long book. See, it's a long book. Yeah, so that's just to be warned. It's not like a little like novella 200-page novel, like fantasy sort of situation. It's like pretty hefty. Yeah, so you are warned. Okay, hello, new day. So the Order of the Rose is the Shield Maidens. They're called Shield Maidens, but they turn into giant birds. So they turn into giant birds. And all I can think about are those, actually I don't know if they're, yeah, well it says like great wings, so I'm guessing they're really big birds. I just keep on thinking about those big birds from like Lord of the Rings and like The Hobbit that like carry them, those like eagles. So I'm just thinking of that now. Also, they have something called like glamour, and it's like their version of like filters, but like in real life, and it's like with magic, and it like smooth skin and make you like not look like yourself, like look perfect and stuff. Yeah, and basically when Miss Gemma was whatever, like visiting her sister Myra at this, like with the roses and stuff, she was sitting there and her father and her sister are like talking to the warden. Gemma is sitting there and she's looking at her dad, and her inner dialogue is like, damn, he's so old looking. Like, damn, he's really decrepit. When we get home, like, I should order a glamour for him because his wrinkles, he's looking nasty. That's basically like her inner dialogue. And all I'm thinking is like, mama, like, you're visiting your sister who like sacrificed herself to go in your place, to go to become like a shield maiden, become part of the roses, and you're sitting there and you're looking at your dad and you're like, damn, he needs some Botox glamorization going on. I just think that's hilarious. She has some interesting priorities, our Miss Gemma over here. So yeah, It's very fun and interesting. Once again, our Miss Gemma has some interesting priorities. So her sister Myra was like, "Ugh, I got a little secret, I got a little tea for you, but like I have to tell you like before it's too late." And then oh, wouldn't you know it, alarm bells went off, intruder alert, someone has their Ring doorbell hooked up. And so Mara wasn't able to tell Miss Gemma what the secret, what the tea was, and Gemma was supposed to like share it with her other sister Farron. And so the bell goes off and Myra like runs away because she's a shield maiden, so she has to like do her job essentially. Like she has to do her job, and Miss Gemma is like, no, tell me now. Who cares that there's an intruder? Like, tell me the secret. So Miss Gemma like lives for the tea essentially, and also yeah, she's like worried. She's like, something's gonna happen. Mara needs to tell me now. And this is what she does. So her sister's like a warrior. Remember, like, keep this in mind. And Miss Gemma is like sick all the time. Like, she's deathly ill. Like, she can't stand magic. And guess what she decides to do? She decides to basically run after her sister and run into like the mist. Basically because she's like, no, Myra needs to tell me now, and so I'm gonna put myself in danger, even though it literally makes her like ill, like sick. But she's like, nah, I'm gonna run into this mist right now, so like Mara can tell me. Can you imagine, like, she's no training. Miss Gemma cannot defend herself at all, and she gets sick when she's just like in the presence of magic. And so this was like quite literally not the best idea. So I don't think the shield maidens are big birds. They might be like Sphinx. I'm so confused because they don't really like expose. Well, they sort of like, so they say like her skin was no longer entirely human, a mosaic of pale flesh, scales, and sleek feathers. Her face was her own, but sharper, feral, like in gleaming velvet fur, but she has like golden eyes and like feathers in her back and enormous brown wings. And so I'm like, I don't think they turn into birds. So they might be like Sphinx or whatever, however you pronounce that. Okay. The shield maidens turn into Sphinx. Caca. Miss Gemma has some realization that maybe running into the mist was like not the best plan in the whole entire world. So okay, so I'm a few chapters in, and I think I misread the like, or I misunderstood, I think, the Goodreads synopsis of the book. I thought her dad and her sister were at war, like the two of them, and then they were also at war with the Basques. And in my prediction, I was like, oh, one of them is like hiding Miss Gemma's like powers from her somehow, so the other one doesn't use them. I am a silly person, and her sister and her father are not at war with each other. They're like fighting. The two of them are together fighting against the Basques. So my synopsis that they're hiding her power from her somehow, or like suppressing her power somehow so that the other one doesn't use it, is obviously not accurate because they were never fighting, one. And also they might still be suppressing her powers somehow, or like something like that, but it's not because they have infighting in the family. That's the first thing. the other thing is the author does a really good job with like she does a good job describing in detail like the scenario and like the setting the scene, I guess, like describing the room, how like the chairs look that they're sitting in, stuff like that. She does a good job of that. Like she was talking about like, oh, this green chair that or blue chair or something, some color chair that she was sitting on, and how it's her favorite chair and blah blah blah, stuff like that. Yeah, so she does a pretty good job of like describing the scenario that you're reading, which is good. Always love that. But like I'm just starting chapter 3, and there's still some stuff that I don't really understand about the world building yet. Like the different powers, and what is it? Okay. I don't really understand like what the sential fever is, and the like anointed I sort of understand the anointed magic. It was like given to their family by this god and stuff, not just their family but like a bunch of people. But like, I'm not like the sential fever with his magic, and like they can transform. I'm not really sure. Yeah, so I feel like there's still, granted it's only the 3rd chapter, so I'm sure there's still some more like world building to be had and such, but I just kind of wish I like sort of understood what's going on a bit better. Yeah, and also because there was like an attack in the mist stuff, and our Miss Gemma ran into it, right? Gemma's basically response to this is, I'm gonna throw a rager party. Yeah, so she's like, oh, there was an attack that might like injure people. Also, like, she's like super rich, she's a lady, like she's not exactly like, you know, middle of the road, like middle class, whatever, like is in the happenings of what the daily person needs. But she's like, oh, there was an attack, let me throw a party. And gotta give her props, that's kind of fun. She's like, oh, the people need a party, the people need reassurance, and I need to have the perfect dress. And I'm like, that's fair, that's valid. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I think she's like how she's being portrayed at the beginning of the book. It's very much like Miss Gemma. Sorry, I guess I need to clarify who I'm talking about there. Miss Gemma is very like one of those like French aristocrat people during like Marie Antoinette's time, who's like, oh, opulence, and like we need to like she's not really in touch with like what is going on in the world. She's very out of touch. She's very like, oh, the only thing that matters is like how beautiful you people are, and like my dresses and like all this stuff. So I think she's very like self-centered, or not self-centered, like, but sort of conceited in the sense of like, oh, she's really only cares, not that she only cares about herself, but she's sort of like not really thinking about the other problems. She's like, oh, they don't matter, let's have a party. Do you know what I mean? And it is the beginning of the book, so I feel like she's gonna maybe have a bit of like character progression and character change, which I hope is the case. Yeah, because this girl is kind of shrimp delusional right now. Yeah, and so I was like, girl, you're throwing a party. But I think like that's the point, that she's supposed to be like this at the beginning of the novel and stuff. I think it's just funny like how so much she is like, oh yeah, oh, like my dad needs to like not be so uggo. Oh, what dress should I wear for this party I'm throwing, even though there was an attack really close to like our village and stuff, which has never happened before, and that means like the gods' power is like, not the gods' power, but like the gift that the gods gave them is like draining the protection or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, very much like, and so I hope there's some change to this girl though. Oh my god. But we'll see. See, this girl lives for the tea. Oh my god. Here comes our boy Talon. Struck silent with shock. Ooh la la. Okay, let's see what we think of Talon. Oh. Not once has she seen a creature as beautiful as Talon. Still don't daze her. He's a creature apparently. He is not a person. He's a creature. Okay. Oh, no, sorry guys. It is a person. Not a where is it? Not a creature. He is a man. Okay. Well, maybe, because remember my prediction, I think he is maybe the demon. Maybe a little foreshadowing. We'll see. Okay. Her, Miss Gemma, and Talon were dancing, and she was like telling him about the Basques, their like family's enemy and such, and how they were trapped for years in their castle and no one could like see it because it was in a forest and stuff. Anyways, not important to the story. Well, not important to the story I'm telling you, I guess. I'm sure that would be important later on in the novel, but basically, like, she has like all these thoughts like of like kissing Talon. She's like, oh my god, he's so beautiful. And then they're dancing, and all of a sudden they're like off, not on the dance floor anymore, and they're like off in this alcove, like talking really close to each other. And then she's like, how did we get over here? And he's like, what are you talking about, girly? You veered us over here, over to this like alcove area. And I find that a little suspicious, a little not adding up. I don't know. I feel like that's a little weird that like suddenly they were over there. Could Talon be like manipulating somehow like what's going on? Because he's all bashful, like, oh, I don't know what's going on. How do I dance? Ooh, what are the social things to do at a ball or whatever, right? So I find that a little suspicious. I got my eye on you, Talon. I know what's up, and I know something ain't right with you. Something's a little fishy, if you ask me. So yeah, I don't know. I'm on to him though, I think. Y'all, okay. So whatever. Okay, so Miss Gemma and Talon are like still talking. She's spilling her little secrets to him, and the demon comes up. She knows about the demon, so she brings him up, and basically she's like, oh, our family is mysterious because of a demon. I find it really weird that she's bringing this up to him or whatever. She's like, there's a demon who promised us eternal power and life and like favor with the queen if they destroy the Basques. And basically it's like, if they stop fighting the Basques for like even a second, okay, well, not even a second, but if they stop like fighting with them, then apparently like they'll all die and everyone they know will die and stuff, and it'll wreak havoc. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, so this is why they have this like feud with the Basques, but I don't know like why. Like, it doesn't say like why the demon promised them this if they fight with the Basques, and also like how did it start? Like, were they having a fight and then the demon like made a deal? I don't know. It just says like they have this deal with this demon. Anyways, and then after that, Miss Gemma's internal dialogue, it's like it was as if some spellcrafter had enchanted me, tugging each word out of me on a knotted string I simply had to expel from my body. It felt good to say it out loud. There's a little demon trick going on? Talon. If I could raise one eyebrow, I would. Talon. I find that really weird. Because, like, she's, like, drunk, too. Like, she had, like, 2 things of wine. But she's like, oh, I just needed to say this. That's her inner dialogue. I find that hella suspicious. Yeah, so now we know where the demon comes in. But I'm looking at you, Talon. I'm looking right at you. Oh, my God. Okay. So, we have some mystery going on. So, basically, Miss Gemma, like, left the party early because, whatever, she, like, fainted and stuff. But after talking to Talon about everything with the demon stuff. But basically, she woke up and all of a sudden she didn't feel any pain because normally she's always in pain. And all of a sudden she can do magic. And I was like, what? And she, like, glamours herself to make her look different. And she's like, oh my God, this is so weird. What is going on? And her, like, lady maid came in and all of a sudden was like, wasn't herself, like, was a different person, like, had, what was it? She was like, something else was, like, in her or something. And she was, like, kind of going crazy. And because of the glamour. And she basically Miss Gemma had to, like, knock out her lady maid, Jessiel, like, put her to sleep with, like, a giant vase because she was going too crazy. Just wild. And then Miss Gemma's glamour, like, went away. And she was like, oh my God, what's going on? She's like, oh, the glamour couldn't coexist with my illness. But she's really confused. She's like, what happened? And she's like, oh, like, there was something else, like, in the room. Like, she's like, no way could that have been me. Like, something was, like, watching us, I think. It was really weird. And I'm very confused. Obviously, it's supposed to be, like, you don't know what's going on. Yeah, but so she's not in any pain. Well, temporarily. I don't know if it's, like, forever. She's all good and handy dandy and whatnot. But yeah, so I was like, so she knocked out her lady maid. She's like, no, go to sleep. Yeah, so that's what's going on so far in the book. Almost, like, 100 pages in. It's, like, 600 pages. Also, we, like, just met Talon too, which is kind of wild, but also it's a long book. Yeah, it definitely takes its sweet time, like, sort of laying the background of, like, all the little characters and stuff. And yeah. Oh, also, I quite like the dialogue that the author does between little Miss Gemma and her sister Farron, and then her friend, who I haven't mentioned before. I think her name is Ileana, something like that. But the dialogue is, like, really, it's good. It's, like, back and forth, really, like, fun. Well, not always fun, because sometimes there's, like, disagreements, but it's a good dialogue. But then the one conversation she's had with Talon so far, it was basically her just, like, spilling her guts to him, being like, oh, bleh, here's all my secrets of my family. And he, I forgot to mention, he proposed, like, a deal. He was like, my family was, like, ravaged by this, like, demon, but it was a different demon because it was a girl demon. And it, like, ravaged my family, and it, like, destroyed our name, like, our family name and such. So you're having this problem with your demon because of the fighting in between the two families. And so with Ashbourne and the Basques. And so he's like, you help me get my name in, like, high society and like, back in favor with the queen, like, the family name, and I will help you with your demon problem. And that was, like, their conversation. But he was like, oh my God, there wasn't really much, like, back and forth between them in the sense of like fun quippy dialogue going on. It was mostly her just being like, bleh, here's my secrets. And then he was like, oh my god, oh, my family was destroyed by this demon, coincidentally also, and let's make this deal. And she was like, I can't deal with this right now because I thought the demon, this is Miss Gemma's point of view. She was like, I thought the demon thing wasn't really real. I thought it was just something people say, because she thought it was like not actually like what caused the fighting in between the two families. She thought it was just like hubbub or whatever. And so basically she was like, I don't have time to deal with us making this deal. I gotta like not talk to you right now. She just said to like leave me alone. I can't deal with this, because like nothing crazy is like, I don't know, she's just like, I can't handle this. But like, same though, girl, right? And so she's like, meet me at this time tomorrow, and then she faints, and I'm like, that's kind of iconic behavior. I think that's hilarious. Yeah, but that happened like during the ball, before she like put her lady maid to sleep because she went crazy. Yeah, but so that's what's happened so far. I kind of am living for how this girl reacts to things. She's very dramatic, and she's like, well, like she fainted because of like she was in so much pain. She fainted. Maybe I should mention that, because like everyone in the ball, they're all like magical and stuff, right? And so she's like, I can't handle this. Mama, it was your idea to throw this ball. One, it's your ball. Didn't you know this was gonna happen? Like, she can't stand to be around like her family and like touch them and stuff for like super duper long time if they're doing their magic. So it was your idea to throw the ball, right? And also, like, yeah, so basically she's like, I can't deal with your shit right now, Talon. What do you mean this demon thing is real? Also, I'm in excruciating pain. Leave me alone. And then she faints. Yeah, that's what's going on so far. We're almost 100 pages in. Yeah, I want to know what's going on with her little magico problem. Does she have magic? Does she have not magic? What was that other thing in the room when she suddenly could glamour herself? Which is basically just like change how she looks, or like put a mask over how she looks. So it's like plastic surgery, but like for yourself and like your hair and whatever. You kind of get the idea, right? Yeah, so I want to know more about that. And also, she lied to her lady's maid. Oh my god. She lied to her lady's maid when she woke up. What was her name? Jessie? Oh, Jesus. Jessiel? She lied to her because obviously she woke up eventually. And Miss Gemma was like, someone broke in to the room, and was like trying to kill each other, and they knocked us out. And I was like, what? Basically, she didn't want to like tell her lady's maid the sitch of what was going on with her glamour, which is like fair. I get that. She's probably like, I don't know what's going on. I don't want other people up in my business if I don't even understand what's happening. That's fair. I get that. Yeah, but she just tried to lie to this girl. She assaulted her, and then she said, it wasn't me. So yeah. Sorry, I'm interrupting the video. I'm going out to dinner with my family. Also, I'm at my parents' right now. Anyways, but show off my cute little outfit. The cowboy boots. Okay. That's it. Hello. Okay. I just filmed some, but my fan is going because I don't have AC in my apartment, and it was super loud and you really couldn't hear me talk. So I am refilming this part. Okay. So basically, I think, yeah, we left off. It was the party, they were kikiing, all that fun stuff, right? And so next day, oh yeah, and then Miss Gemma like assaulted her lady's maid. Like, whoa, because like she was attacking her. Anyway, so basically, they meet. they get together, and sorry, I made some notes so I can remember. So Miss Gemma and Talon meet, okay, and Gemma, of course, is like, he's so cute, he's so handsome, ooh la la, like heart eyes, you know, the huge. You know, it's a romance novel, right? Okay, and then so, right, during their little rendezvous, if you will, Talon brings up the idea of like, maybe you're cursed, girly. Like, maybe the reason you are so sick from magic and such, and that you don't have your own magic, is because the demon cursed you. Big brain thoughts and all that jazz, right? And so I was like, interesting. And of course, Miss Gemma is like, no, that's crazy. Like, why would that happen? Blah, blah, blah. Being delusional, right? Like, this girl, I love her. She's kind of a bit of a badass. She's kind of like, I'm gonna get what I want and all that stuff, which we love a lady who goes for what she wants. It's just funny. She's like, no. And so she just like, is like, no. Basically, yeah, that's what happens. And oh yeah, and then right after that, Mr. Talon is like, I don't know why I keep on calling her Miss Gemma, and I just now said Mr. Talon. Anyways, so Talon, immediately after that, he starts charming her, and he's like, you're so beautiful. I've never met a woman who has such fire as you, you know, blah blah blah, all that sort of fun stuff, right? And literally, at this point, she has known him for less than 24 hours, okay? And she's like, yummy. And they share a little kiss, right? And like, okay, yeah, like, I get it, go for it, girl, right? It's just like, okay. But literally, she like spills all of her secrets, and he compliments her, and she's like, okay. And I was like, okay, fair. Anyways, and then right after that, she starts like having that weird feeling she was having at the party. Oh, also, like, major spoilers in this video. I'm just gonna tell you what happens because I just get so excited and I don't feel the need to share. Yeah, so you can, I guess, like, pause the video, like, read as well, like, along with me, or like whatever you want. But yeah, anyways, I just get so excited and I want to tell people. So yeah. So basically, yeah, basically she gets this feeling again that she got at the party, where she starts like, she's like, oh, I want to tell Talon all my secrets. I want him to know like the depths of my soul, like all that sort of stuff, right? And so basically, oh, also, yeah, I am sitting on the floor of my apartment right now as well, and ignore like the stuff that's on the table. That's not mine. Anyways, so girl, it's hot in here, okay? I don't want to sit on the couch. Yeah, so basically, yeah, so she gets this, I keep on getting sidetracked. She gets this like feeling of like, ooh, I need to like tell Talon my deepest little, darkest little secrets, right? As one feels with someone they've known for less than 24 hours, obvi. And so, oh yeah, and sorry, and then that's when they kiss, and she's like, ooh. And okay, I wrote, I am telling you something is fishy. So the way the author is describing like this feeling that Miss Gemma is having, it's so like sus, because it's such, it feels like unnatural inner dialogue, and I know it's supposed to feel like that because you're supposed to get this sensation of like people don't normally think like in this manner and stuff. And so I'm like, something is fishy, something is sus with Talon, Mr. Demon Boy, which I low-key think he is, as I've stipulated many times probably throughout this video already. Yeah, and like the author does a good job of writing, in the sense that like you get the feeling that something is off with what's the situation, what's going on, but you don't know what. And so like she does a really good job with that, so like kudos to her. Yeah, and so I said, yeah, he is sussing me out a little bit. And so basically they make a little alliance. Well, they start to make an alliance about, like, that I mentioned before, where basically if Gemma helps him reclaim like his family name and like everything's all handy dandy and like he's back in the good graces of the queen, then he'll help her family with the little demone problem, right? And Gemma is still kind of, at this point in the conversation, a little bit still skeptical that like demons exist, and she's like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Okay, and and yeah, basically like she's like, I don't know, sir, like maybe. Oh, then she's kind of like, I don't have any pain. I feel weird. And the one thing about Miss Gemma is she is like chronically ill, like all the time. She has like these such bad like aches, like she is chronically ill. And so she's like, why do I feel so good? Like, what is going on? And then she's like, oh my God, like, Talon, what are you doing? Like, I know it's you. Because, anyways, and basically, turns out this man, Mr. Talon, is an empath. Okay? And the first thing I thought of was Jasper from Twilight. And because you know how you can like feel people's emotions and stuff. Anyways, and so all I could think about was that meme of like Jasper where he's like I don't, like I'll insert many a meme on the screen for you, but basically I was like, an empath? I was like, what the fuck is this? The one thing kind of about this author is okay, I was saying before, like, oh, she does a good job at like explaining the scene around you so you kind of have a mental image in your mind. But like I said, we're almost 100 pages in, and like I don't really know too much about the world. Like, basically she's like, oh, OMG, you're an empath, Talon, like W2, oh my God, WTF. Jeez, I'm having like a brain aneurysm. Sorry, I'm trying not to swear because this will be online. But she's like, you're an empath. But then they don't really like she doesn't really say like what that is. And you kind of get the sense from like how the conversation is going and the fact that like he immediately like withdraws his powers like Jasper. And like she starts to feel ill again, that like he can sort of like manipulate how people feel and maybe take away their pain, because like he took away her pain, but maybe he's just manipulating her like thoughts and feelings into thinking she doesn't have any pain. I don't want to go into the psychology of it all. Basically, he can like make people feel however he wants, but they don't have to be like touching or anything. And the thing is weird. So he comes from something called a low magic family. So your family possesses low magic. And so that's basically like low level tier magic. I don't know how else to describe it. Like nothing like crazy. You can throw up a glamour for a few hours and you can like hold a tune with a piano. That's basically how she describes it. But his level of power, like basically how powerful he is only with people who are from anointed families. See, like, I wish there was more like explanation and more in depth about like what is really going on, because like we're on chapter 6 and like some of the things they talk about, I'm kind of like, what does this mean? I'm like, mama, like Miss Claire, who's the author, I need a bit more. Granted, maybe like you will understand it a bit more as the story progresses, but I feel like with the world, especially like a new one that you're sort of introducing readers to, it's definitely important to kind of like explain how the world works and what the hell is going on. Pardon my French. Because like they also have like different continents, and throughout some of the, so far Gemma is like, oh my God, don't they teach you about this on your continent? And I'm like, hey, well, like what's the difference between these? Like, do they like, I'm just like, I don't know. And at one point he's like, when Gemma's like, oh my God, why didn't you tell me you were an empath? Like, you're so sneaky, whatever. Talon is, empaths are not required by Galen Orian law, which is where he's from, to disclose their identity. And then she's like, oh my god, yeah, but like that's not how it is here. And I'm like, I was like, yeah, but I don't know anything about either of these two places. Like, I don't have any of the history, nothing. And so I'm like, what? Basically, I just wish like maybe there was a little bit more explanation into like sort of like what is what's the haps, what's the deets. You know, like they sort of explain like, oh, gods gave them their powers, but it's sort of brushed over. We don't really know that much. I sort of feel like this, like what's going on, like there should be like maybe like there's like a first chapter missing, sort of explaining what's happening. Or maybe that like this is the second book, not in the sense of like things already happen that like you needed to like know about before this happened sort of thing, but in the sense that I feel like this maybe is more giving second book vibes, because you don't really, like, the world is not really being explained, what's going on, how the magic works, what really is like low magic families and anointed magics, who are these gods. And they also mention different gods too, and they're like for Talon's family, they were supposed to get the remnants of Jaestri's magic, but then I'm like, okay, but they sort of like, oh, god of the mind. I'm like, okay, who are the other gods? What are theirs? Like, do you know what I mean? So that's why this is very much giving second book vibes, in the sense that like I feel like I should already know a bunch of the information going into it, which I don't, because it's a first book, right? And so I'm like, maybe there's, I don't know, maybe there is like another series that's based in this world, and that's why she's like maybe writing like in this manner, in the sense of like, oh, the reader will already know the haps, like the inner workings of the world and stuff. Yeah, that's the only thing, right? Oh, anyways, yeah, that's like sort of a little bit of a grievance I have. Not a grievance, just kind of like, it's hard to fully delve in if like I'm always like, okay, what does this mean? What does this sentence mean? Do you know what I mean? And one point that I do like though is the author is good at like showing, not telling things, sort of like letting the reader figure it out for themselves. But I feel like maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I am just too stupid to like understand the nuances of the book in the terms of it being more show and less tell. But I feel like at the beginning of a novel, when you're building the world and you're sort of being like, this is what this means, it is better to have more of a tell, or more of a tell aspect to it. But she is more of like a show, not tell sort of author, which is nice, because then she's not just like, here's how you should think about this. Like, you can sort of infer things on your own with what's going on, with how I inferred when a fucking empath was. Jumping back into the little plot line now, we're swimming back into it. Anyways, yeah, she finds out he's an empath, and he's basically like, let's add another part to this deal, Miss Gemma. I will take away your pain during the like part of us doing this deal. And Gemma is like, god damn it, I can't say no to that. Because remember, this girly has been in like constant pain her entire life. And like, yeah, I get that. Like, I would also probably take that deal too, right? Like, also the lighting from the book like bouncing out the window. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. And she like stipulates very clearly, she's like, once our deal's done, like that's it. Like, I never want to see you again, because she is basically like, I don't want to make you have to do this for me for the rest of your life. Like, that's not fair. And props to her. Props to Miss Gemma. Like, that's some good character, even though she makes some questionable decisions and she has some very interesting inner dialogue sometimes. Props to her. She basically is like, I hate you because I know you can help me, but I would never wish that upon another person, to like have to do this for me for the rest of my life. And I was like, can somebody say maturity, except for the fact that she is also very delusional. when it comes to this demon, but like sort of more at the beginning. I'm sure it will change like as it goes on and stuff. And basically chapter 6 closes. She's like, okay, yeah, we have a deal, whatever, let's start going to the Basques' like house and whatever, and like sort of spy on them and see if they know any deets about this demon. And Talon is like, okay, T, I'll meet you at this time. And she's like, T. So she goes back to her room and she's having like her little moment, a little cry. It happens. And she's basically it ends her self-reflection sort of moment ends in her being like, if we find this demon, I don't want to kill him and capture him or nothing like Talon wants. She's like, I want to basically take the demon and I want to make a deal with him. A deal to get magic. Right? That's how the chapter ends. Great way to end a chapter, if you ask me. I want to be come back for more, just eating it all up that Miss Claire is putting out for me, right? That's intriguing. I like that. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, she's a little bit selfish, but who isn't? I would probably do the same thing, right? Like, I would definitely do the same thing. And I'm just like, damn, like, this story is not starting to go in the direction I thought it would. I did not think Miss Gemma would be like, so besides the fact that basically this demon probably made a deal with like her family in the Basque where they're always fighting for eternity, essentially, she's like, no, I'm not gonna think about that. All I'm gonna think about is the fact that I'm gonna get little old me some magic up in here and get rid of all this illness and be swag money all the time. Props to her. And yeah, basically she's like, yeah, I'm gonna get some magic. That's what I want. And I'm like, okay. And yeah, that's how it ends. So I will update you soon. I feel like I'm doing too many updates. Please let me know if this is too much or if it's like too long, because like I'm only like on chapter 6 and I feel like this video is like probably 30 minutes already. I will maybe try and cut it down. We will see. But I kind of just like love talking about this stuff, and I hope you guys like listening. Even though this is my first video, we will see. I just kind of love this stuff. So yeah, let me know if you want me to do this again or if you want me to just shut up and never talk to you ever again. Yeah, so I will update you. I will try to read more than one chapter before updating you. I will try. I just get so excited. Yeah, so I will try and read at least 2 chapters before telling you about what is the happening. So yeah. Hello, we are back. I actually did read more than a chapter. I remember where we last left off. I was like, oh, I'm gonna read 2 chapters and come back to you. But I've actually read several. I'm about like 150-ish pages now into the book. So like about maybe like a quarter through the novel, I wanna say. So I have some little updates to share with y'all. I wrote them all down so I did not forget a single thing, so I could tell you. Okay, are we ready? First of all, Miss Gemma. She is still the same, pretty much a quarter of the way through. Yeah, she's still the same girly, pretty much. She hasn't had much character development, I want to say. And she has this thing, Miss Gemma, where she kind of always wants to have the advantage in situations. She wants to like be the it girly at all times, right? And I said, I think it's maybe because she feels like the reason she does this and acts like this is because she feels so powerless in her personal life with like all of her family issues and dramas with her dad and sisters, and also because she has no magic and she suffers a lot from illnesses. And so I think maybe that comes into play of like why she always wants to have like this social advantage sort of in all situations. yeah, like an example of this is like when she's like waiting up to meet with Talon the next day. She like gets there early so she can like scope out the spot and like watch him come in and like be ready to pop out whenever she wants, sort of thing. She has sort of, at this point in the novel, issues locking down like what Talon is actually thinking, like his emotions on things, which is a little sus, but that changes. And we're like a quarter of the way in. They've known each other for like a bit, like around 100 pages. They've known each other for only like 2 days still, and then like at 150 they've known each other for like, I want to say maybe like a week. I want to say maybe, I think. And by that point, a quarter of the way through the novel, she's sort of like, they have like this little like flirty thing, and they've only ever like kissed, I don't know how many times, like maybe twice or something, twice or 3 times. But she has all these like ideas like, oh, he's so cute, and like they have like their little flirty moments, which is really cute. This is where it gets juicy. So after they meet, like secretly at night, Miss Gemma is like, we need to go to my father's study and find a map, right? And so they go to her father's study and they're like searching about, and then they hear footsteps. Oh sorry, they need to find a map of how to get to the Basques like estate, like a pathway to get there. Oh, and they want to go to the Basques because they think the Basques, their last name is so fun, the Basques know about the demon, and so they're like, we need to go to their place because they'll have info for us. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not really sure why they're like, yeah, let's go there. That's a great way to start. Oh, it's because they're like, oh, we don't want to like raise suspicion, and for some reason they think like the Basque will be in the know because the like Basques and Miss Gemma's family were like in the curse together, so I guess Gemma thinks they'll know more about the demon. And so whatever, they're in his office trying to find a map, and they hear like footsteps, and they're like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? And they do the good old trick. When this happened, I was like, ooh, where they start to make out to pretend like that's what they were doing in there the whole time. I think that's when they had their first kiss, was like in that little momante, and I kind of lived for it because it was kind of really cute. Anyway, so the footsteps come. It turns out it's her father's librarian, who is like this really stern like old lady, right? And she's like, what are y'all doing in here? And Miss Gemma is like, what do you mean? Isn't it obvious? And the librarian was like, okay, yeah, but like a bunch of stuff is like moved around, like it's obvious you guys were looking for something. And all I could think in that moment, because the librarian gives like an exact number of like things that are misplaced. First of all, how in detailed does this librarian know about like Gemma's father's office? I was like, okay, that's oddly specific. And also I'm thinking, when Miss Gemma and Talon were rifling through her father's office, why weren't they doing it carefully? They were just sort of like throwing things everywhere and like no care in the world. Did they not think like, what happens if someone like happens upon them? No thoughts in either of their brains in regards to this, I guess. Don't know why. And I was like, why weren't you guys like rifling through the things like slowly or like carefully so they're easy to be put away like later? Because like you won't remember where everything goes. They can't take a photo, like there's no cameras in this world. And so I was like, that was kind of like not the smartest thing ever. Anyways, but Talon helps them out of the problem because he basically like uses his empath, which is so ridiculous, his empath powers. Like I understand it's to like move along the story that he has these powers, but whatever. He uses his empath powers to basically like calm the librarian down, and then she gives them she tells them where the pathway is, and it's called the Green Way, and it's like a magical portal. I think I mentioned it already. And so the librarian like kind of tells them like where to go. So there was like nothing of use in their father's study, but the librarian helped them. But like she didn't know she was helping them because Talon like used his powers on her and stuff. So anyways, yeah, so that's that. So the same night, literally like 2 seconds after they leave the library, Miss Gemma is like, let's go to this Greenway right this very second. And Talon is like, it's like midnight, like, or whatever, it's like late at night, and he's like, won't people like notice if we're gone? And like he's being rational. Miss Gemma, once again, no thoughts in her brain, little bit delusional still, in my opinion, in my opinione. And so she's like, no, we need to do it now, whatever. So they go to where the Greenway is located, and it's like in water. It's like in a lake sort of thing. Anyways, and so like at first they're like walking around, they're all wet and stuff, and then they like figure out where it is, and they like go in the water, and they come out the other side at Ravenwood, which is the Basques estate, what it's called, Ravenwood. And they're like soaking wet, obviously, because they had to go in a lake. Because this Greenway is supposed to be like a secret, no one's supposed to know it's there, and nobody knows it's there except for, I guess, Gemma's dad and the librarian, not Talon. Well, I guess Talon knows where it is too because he went with them, but nobody knows about this Greenway except for the dad and the librarian. And so that's sort of like why it's in the lake, so it's like hidden and stuff. Because like, remember the Basques and what the fuck is Gemma's last name? The Ashbournes, I think. They're like mortal enemies, they hate each other, right? And so this is like the father's secret little pathway to the Basque's house. To do what with? I don't know. To like spy on them and stuff, I guess. And so, but even though it's in a lake, that's so ineffective. Anyways, not the point of the story, I guess. I just don't think it should have been in a lake. Well, okay, like I can understand it, like it's in a lake for a reason, but I'm just kind of thinking the fact that like Miss Gemma, like she has to go in this lake and get soaking wet and freezing cold and come out the other end, and like every time she goes through a Greenway, she is like, she becomes like deathly, well, I wouldn't say deathly ill, but she's like in so much pain because Greenways are like magic, and so she can't be around magic like ever, except if she doesn't want to be in any pain. And so every time she goes through this Greenway, like any Greenways, she's like in so much pain, and she's like falling over, and she's like puking and all this stuff. And I'm just thinking like, oh my god, girl, like first you're getting soaking wet, and then you're like putting yourself through all this pain to go to the Basques, like there and back. And I'm like, oh my god, like Jesus Christ, like that's some dedication. Like that's some serious dedication. Like this girl is like, I want to find this demon. She's like, let's do it. Because remember why she wants to find the demon? She wants magic. She wants to basically be like, hey girly pop, give me magic and make me not ill anymore, remember? And so she's like, I am doing this, this is what we're doing. Anyways, yeah, but I'm just like, damn it, it's in a lake, like that must suck. Anyways, yeah, so they get there, they get to Ravenwood, and they're like, they're sort of like spying on the Basques, and they're just like lurking about, and they see the two like siblings. The first one is the girl, Alestrina. These names in this novel of places and people. Anyways, Alestrina, and then her brother, Ryder. Oh, I'm thinking it's Flynn Rider from Tangled, but Alestrina and Ryder, they're like there. They like sneak up and see them, and the two of them are being like super sketch. And there's all these like ravens around them, like circling them, being like really a Maleficent-esque. It's like super weird anyway. And so the two of them are like, what the actual hell is going on right now? What's with all the ravens? And then they figure out, oh my god, the girl, I'm just gonna call her Trina. Trina can like talk to animals and stuff, but not like just talk to them. She can like control their minds, and she has one of the like anointed power gifts from one of the gods. Don't ask me which one, I don't remember. There's like 5 of them, but I don't even remember this one's name. I'm like, I don't know, girl. I'm not paying. I can't with these gods. Anyways. And so she can like take control of them, and they're like her little spies. And so the ravens will like go off, and she can at any moment in time like transport herself into that raven, so she can like see and hear exactly what the raven is seeing. So they're quite literally like little spies. And Gemma is immediately like, they're going to use these to spy on us, my family, the Ashbournes. And I'm like, girl, conceited much? But then also, yeah, they're mortal enemies. So anyways, we don't know what the ravens are for at this point. But basically, oh, also I said like, I don't know if it's only birds that Trina can like control, or if it's all animals. That part is unclear. But yeah, also this is the bed right here beside me, sorry. That part was unclear, so I don't know if she's like a bird girl or not. No idea. Oh, and her brother can do it too, but like less so. Like Trina has more powers to do this than him. Anyways, yeah, but then one of the like little ravens spots them, and they like the Basques start chasing them, and basically they have to run away, and then they like dive back into the lake or whatever, and then they're back in their house. They go through the greenway. Okay, so they scamper away. Gemma and Talon, not the Basques. Yeah, so they get found out, and they run home. Okay. Some stuff happens, like whatever. Gemma's sick, whatever. We're skipping through that part. The uninteresting stuff doesn't matter. So later on, like Gemma and Farron are having this little like chit chat momente. And Farron, also Farron is their sister, just a reminder. Farron mentioned someone called the Shining Boy. This part is, I was like, oh, this is gonna come into play later. I'm like, who is this? Who is this Shining Boy? Basically, when they were kids, the Basques tried to burn down the Ashbournes like house, so Gemma's house, when they were like kids, and it like totally traumatized them, blah blah blah, whatever. Oh, and their like mom left as like a result of this. So Farron's like, oh my god, I wrote this piano piece about the Shining Boy. And the Shining Boy was, I guess, this little boy when they were also kids, so this like fellow child who saved Farron from the fire. And he's called the Shining Boy because he had, I think his like skin was weird, I don't know, but, or he was wearing something that was shining, I don't know, that part's not important, but he had on this like strange mask with like blacked out eyes, question mark. And basically he like saved her and helped her escape their house during the fire when it was burning down when they were kids. And the dad is like, oh, that didn't happen, that was just sort of like a hallucination from the smoke, like the smoke cloud messed with your little child brain at the time, blah blah blah. And when I read this, I was like, that is super sus, specifically about the eyes, the blackout eyes. And I was like, is this the demon? Why is the demon saving Farron? Why is he a child? Like, did he appear as a child because Farron was a child at the time and he didn't want to like scare her or something? And I find it really interesting that he like saved her. Well, I'm thinking it's the demon, that he saved her from the fire, right? Because basically the demon like whatever put a curse on the two families, or like made a bargain with the two families, I don't know, whatever, where they're always fighting. So it's like, why would he want to save one of them? So I was like, that's super sketch. And also, if Talon is the demon, which I think he is low-key, was he the one who saved Farron, question mark? But him and Farron never really have like, I don't think they've had like any scenes together since I started reading this. So yeah, that's a big old question mark. Basically, Gemma and Miss Gemma and Talon like keep on going back and forth to Ravenwood, the Basques estate. And this time they come across this like, it's not like a mirage because it's not like a hologram because you can physically like feel it touch you, but it's basically like this little like trick. And it's not like a real thing, but it's like a defense system to guard against something called a ward stone. And it's like this little girl, and it's like super creepy. I was like, oh, okay, because I'm not into the horrorness of things, and so I was like, oh, okay. Really creepy, like a little kid with blood. And it leads Miss Gemma to Ryder, because like that's sort of like what it does. It brings them to the owner of the house, but Miss Gemma has a glamour on, so Ryder doesn't know it's her. And basically it's like this whole hubbub thing, and he's like, who are you, what are you doing here, that sort of stuff. But Talon draws Ryder away, like away from Gemma, and so Ryder thinks there's a problem, so he like scampers off. He runs away, and Talon like steals the ward stone. And the reason they steal it, supposedly, this is what Talon says, because Talon knows all about the demon stuff, and so Gemma's just taking things at his word. But basically Talon's like, we need the ward stone to tell us like about what demon they were trying to like keep away, and like basically they think it's gonna give them like all this info. And then they run back home because the stupid creepy hologram thing, well, which is not a hologram because it can touch them, is like following them, because that's its job, is to like keep people away from the stone. Anyways, so they take it and they run away, and then Talon is basically like, Gemma, you need to hide it. You need to hide this stone, because like someone can easily get into my stuff. Like, I'm a stranger, people don't know me, they could interrogate me, and so you have to hide it, and you can't even tell me where it is. This is Talon speaking. And Miss Gemma is like, WTF, like, I don't want to do this, but okay. And they're like, well, like, what do we do with this? Like, can you figure out anything on this? And Talon is like, LOL, no, I only have textbook knowledge. He doesn't say textbooks, because like textbooks don't exist in this world. I'm just paraphrasing. He's like, LOL, no, I don't have actual like real world experience figuring out what the info in the ward stone will be. And so Gemma's like, she's like, okay, so I know this guy we can bring it to, and he can like help us. It's like her older sister's friend or whatever, because he's like not a historian, but he's like a learned man, so he has a bunch of information. He has a bunch of info. And so Gemma's like, oh, this guy, I think his name is Gareth. I don't know, I can't remember. I think it's Gareth or Garrett, whatever. She's like, oh, Gareth will be at this tournament in like a week or two. I can't remember how far away, but like it's like a few weeks away. And like, so we can ask him and he can give us a bunch of info then. And so Talon is like, okay, bet. And that's where I am at right now. And so we're like a quarter way in, and we still don't know anything about this demon. Like, Talon and Gemma's relationship is still kind of like in the will they, won't they phase. Lots of flirty action going on though. Very cute, we love. Except for, I think Talon's like a big ol' snake and a demon. Besides that, I like his character. Like, he's like quite well written. He's super helpful in scenarios. Yeah. And also apparently he's a cutie. So, I mean, you can't fault Gemma there, really. Right? Yeah, so, oh, I still don't know really, I know last time I spoke about this, I still don't know really a whole much more about the world building stuff. It's still kind of confusing. I kind of wish there was a bit of a preface to the novel to sort of go over like what's the situation in the world if the author just keeps the book as is, because like it flows nicely, but I just don't know really what's happening sometimes, in the sense of like, what does this mean, who is this god, like with like the Trina girl, and they're like, oh, she has the power from this god, she can control these birds, and I'm like, okay, but like what are the other powers? Do you know what I mean? So I'm kind of like, yeah, that's the only thing. But so far the novel, I'm liking it. It's keeping me on the edge of my seat. Like the plot is good and I'm interested enough to keep on reading it. It is about a quarter way through, yeah, but I do know it's supposed to be a trilogy, so I don't know if most of the first book is setting up like a super action sequence-esque sort of thing in the next two novels. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, the pace is good, a bit slow in the sense that it is a quarter way through, and I wish it was kind of like, and there's kind of, yeah, and a lot of the like filler sections are a lot about like just Gemma being hurt and ill and in pain and stuff, and I understand like why the author's doing that, to like show how much magic affects her and all that jazz. Yeah, but it's still a quarter way through. But I mean, the book is 600 pages. Yeah, so I will probably read a few more chapters and then give you guys more updates. So I hope you are enjoying so far, because I am quite enjoying sharing all this stitch and telling you guys what's going on. It's kind of fun. I'm kind of liking this, so yeah, let me know like if you also are enjoying it, or if there's like anything else you want me to read. I will read anything. Well, not anything, because I don't like horror stuff, but I will read like a suggestion that if I like how the book sounds, I will read it then. How about that? Yeah, so just yeah, I'll update you again. It will be like in 2 seconds in your time, but it will probably be like a bit in my time. So yeah, see you soon. Oh my god. Okay. Plot twist. I'm loving this. Spoilers. So Gemma and Talon are like getting ready for the tournament where they're gonna talk to Gareth or whatever the hell his name is. Whatever. She's walking down the corridor. She runs into the librarian, the same one who caught her and Talon like making out, and who Talon used his powers on to sort of give them the map to the Greenway. Anyway, she runs into this librarian, and the librarian is like raving, kind of like a little bit saying nonsense things, kind of like going on, and they're kind of like, what? Well, not, they aren't like, what? It's just Gemma. I'm like, what? And Gemma's like confused, and she's like, oh, the librarian, Miss Delusional. She's like, oh, the librarian must have just like thought her way up into like a little bit of a tizzy, right? Anyways, so she goes down to get the ward stone because they need to bring it to the tournament. And guess what? It's gone. Someone stole it. Oh my god. Yeah, I gasped a little bit because like the lead up to it was quite good. Yeah, so someone stole it, but only Miss Gemma knew the location to the wardstone, and it was like literally one section of it to get down to it. It only opens to Gemma's palm, like, what is it? Gemma's palm print. Oh, it's spelled to only open when touched by her hand. So somebody freaking somehow stole this thing, and it's like Mission Impossible style, like locked away. So a little bit of intrigue, if you will. So okay, so they're at the tournament still. It's not been that long since I've updated you, and Gemma goes like into her tent or whatever, and her best friend, I don't know if I've mentioned her best friend before, her best friend Iliara, I did not realize how loud my fan was. Give me a second to turn it off. Oh my god, you can hear it in the background. Sorry, we don't have AC. Okay, one sec. Okay. Sorry, that was my cat. He sneezed. Sorry. Okay. So basically, her best friend is in the tent, Illy. We'll just call her Illy, okay? So, and she's like, girl, I haven't talked to you for like a month, WTF. And Miss Gemma's like, a month? What? And Eliana is like, why haven't you been like responding to my letters? What's going on? And she's like, I don't trust this Talon guy. Why haven't you told me anything about him? What's happening? And then Gemma is like, oh my god, it's been a month. What? And then she remembers, like, she suddenly remembers, like, oh yeah, I've been getting your letters. Oh, but I haven't been reading them. Like, she remembers this suddenly, like, oh, I totally, like, I didn't even realize that was happening, which is super weird. And she's like, her best friend is like, I don't trust him. There's something wrong with him. And I'm like, and then she says something that is super, super key. One thing about her best friend is like, she's a perfumer. So she's like big on scents and stuff. Anyways, and so her friend tells Gemma, he reeks, like he smells. And Gemma's like, what? And she's like, he smells normal on the surface, but underneath, he smells like something putrid, like something has died, and the air is musky with rot. And I'm like, huh, that's interesting, because earlier in the novel, Talon's always like, oh, like demons have like a smell to them, like you know if they've been there, if there's like a bad smell and blah blah blah. Like he's always going on about this. And then now her friend is like, girl, your quote unquote, not really her boyfriend, but your man smells nasty. And I think that's super interesting. And then basically Gemma is getting defensive and she's like, oh my god, no, like nothing's wrong with him, like I've just been busy. Once again, being Miss Delusional. The crown for Miss Delusional goes to Miss Gemma Ashbourne, if you ask me. And so she's like, no, you're just jealous. Anyways, whatever. And her friend is like, okay, sis. She's like, okay, whatever. She's like, I miss you, like when the tournament's over, like come hang out, and leaves. And I'm like, drama. And also, something is definitely fishy with this Talon guy. Even her friend is like, he smells bad. And she's like, yeah, and her friend is like, it's really faint, like I could barely smell it. And like has like a super nose or whatever, right? So like I guess the average person wouldn't notice this stuff. Anyways, yeah, and so that's another thing that's interesting about Talon. Yeah, we're definitely believing that. Anyways, yeah, sorry if you can hear my cat like licking himself. Y'all, this girl is stupid. Literally, like not even 10 pages later, like not even 5 pages later, after her friend said that Talon smelled bad, like he smelled like something died, what does Miss Gemma go and do? She tells Talon. She's like, oh, my best friend doesn't trust you. She says that you smell bad, like that you reek, which is like a sign of demons and stuff. Oh, there's my cat. Excuse me. Oh my god. Sorry. You know, like, excuse me, like, what? Sorry. My cat wants to be in the video, I guess. Miss Gemma is so stupid. Why would she do that? Right? Do you agree with me? Yeah? Yes, he agrees with me. This is how I'm feeling. So they're at the tournament and they're waiting to like release a spell to like mess with the Basques and like humiliate them. And basically Gemma gets freaked out and she's like, Talon, help me, like with his powers. And he uses his powers to like calm her and such. And then her inner dialogue, she's like, I could see myself loving him. Do I love him? And I'm like, girl, be real now. Be effing real. Like, what is happening? I just want to like reach to the book and throttle this girl, because I'm like, do you clearly not see that this guy is like manipulating you with his powers? Like, what actually is going on with you, Gemma? I'm like, oh my god. Anyways, yeah. Just wanted to update you guys on that because I'm getting frustrated. Gemma, you have known him for like 3 weeks, a month, and he uses his powers to like calm you down, which you asked him to do, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, do I love him? Do I love him? I'm like, girl, be real. Use your brain. Stop being so delusional. Like, think, please. You need to reevaluate several aspects of your life. Oh my god. Y'all? Okay. I am 200 pages in. The biggest, like, oh my god, I can't even think of the word right now. Like, biggest plot twist just happened. Definitely did not see this coming. I'm not gonna say what it is, but oh my lord, Jesus Christ. I was shocked. I was bamboozled. I was taken aback, and you will be too. Okay, that is all for now. Oh my god. I am editing this video as I'm filming because it's taking so long, and I sincerely apologize because at this point the video was like around an hour and 40 minutes, and I don't even know how the hell it's that long. And I just want to say I'm so sorry. This video, while it started off as a review, it has turned into a like more of a summary review. I'll have like I guess a review at the end, but because I'm so far along, I'm just gonna finish I guess more the summary, my reaction part to it. Originally when I wanted to start this video, I was gonna like go along the story like as I was reading update and such, but I think I got too far ahead of myself and I updated way too much the first like quarter of the book, and that's like most of what you've seen already up to this point. Now, am I kind of like, what the actual hell are you doing, Avery? Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. But I committed to doing this sort of more summary-esque before the review, so I'm just gonna finish it like this. But I don't think I'm going to have future book reviews like this because I think it maybe is too much and it might be like too boring for people, because I think I might get too bored. So granted, I still will do sort of like summaries and like updates as I'm reading about sort of like the situazione and what's going on, but not like as frequently as I have been, with like small updates that maybe like you don't really like need to know, or I could summarize a bit better, because as I've been editing this and watching it back, I realize I kind of repeat myself when I'm explaining what's going on. Like I'll say like, oh, this happened, and then 2 minutes later I said, oh, so because of this happened, and I'm like, ugh, I feel like it's just kind of frustrating. Granted, it is my first review video. It's a learning curve. Your girl, you know, gots to figure her shit out, I guess. You know, how is this gonna work, right? But that being said, I am still gonna give you updates, but they're gonna be hopefully shorter and not like the small little details that don't really matter. So I'll start doing that now, like from this point on for the rest of the novel, until the review section, where I will just like talk about my feelings about the novel, what I think, blah blah blah. You know what you're here for. So at the beginning of the, oh my god, Max. At the beginning of the video, I had where you could jump to for the review. I will also put that on the screen right now. If you're like, girl, I don't give a fuck about this, fair, that's fine. You could just skip to the number that I will put on the screen for like the time for where the review starts. Yeah, so let's get into the finishing summaries. Like, I will finish it because I don't want to just be like, bye, I'm not telling you what happened. Because so far where I am in the book, a lot of drama, a lot of tea still, so I'll be giving you all the sitch. And Max will be here to help me, so everybody say thank you, Max. Back to the story. So, Gemma and Talon have like a fight, or I guess more of a falling out. And she's like, boy, bye. Like, see you never. Like, it's like your bags are packed to the left, get the hell out, right? And so he scampers away and she's like, peace, I'm better now. Like, anyways, yeah. And so Gemma is like, I really need to see my sister, Myra, one of the roses, like the shield maidens. And so by herself, her little, fun little self, she over to where the shield maidens are, like in, oh my god, I can't remember even what it's called, like the Middlemist, the Order of the Roses, like their house. And she's like, hey girl, like, I know I've been neglecting you. I know that you wanted to tell me like a big old secret, like however long ago, like a few months ago, but I'm here now. Sort of, she was kind of like, hey, I know I've been selfish, but like, I want to not be selfish. And Max is licking my arm, okay. And Myra's like, hey girl, hey girly pop, I appreciate that. And they have this like really nice sister moment. It's like really cute, really like wholesome, and I kind of live for it. I'm like, slay, Miss Gemma and Myra, like, we love. And while she's there, while they're having their like sister moment, Gemma's like, okay girl, like, now is the time to tell me the tea. What did you want to tell me? Because remember, Myra was like, I have to tell you something, but then alarm bells went off, and so she had to go do her job. And Miss Gemma like ran into the mist and like it was a fucking disaster. Anyway, so now Gemma's like, okay girl, what's the tea? Tell me the situazione. I'm ready to hear it now. I'm here for you, bad bitch sister unites sort of thing, right? I can help you now that Talon is gone. Like, let's work together. And so Myra brings her to, she's like, okay, tea. And so Myra brings Miss Gemma, to this like secret cave. They go on like this little walk, this hot girl walk to this cave. And Max, what are you doing? And so they hot girl walk over to a cave, and in the cave, okay, this part I was like, what actually am I reading right now? I was like, what the hell? So there's all of these like deformed corpses that is like in this like weird like goo, like wrapped in some sort of thing, like substance that's like green. All I can think about is like the like Kids' Choice Awards, like when you get slimed. Does anyone else remember that? Like when they would like slime celebrities at the Kids' Choice Awards. Anyways, I'll insert a photo because that's what I was thinking about during this. I was like thinking, oh my god, corpses with the Kids' Choice Awards slime. I'm sure that's not the intended picture that she's painting, but that's what I thought. So, so Myra shows her all these like fucked up corpses and I'm like, ew, one, gross. And Myra's like, oh, the mist has been acting up. Now, the mist, I guess for clarification, it's like this, I don't know, it's like this wall of mist that the order of the roses, or so they walk around and they like make sure everything's handy dandy. Like they patrol, that's what it is. They patrol the mist and such, because there's the mist and then underneath it it's like the civilization and their like continent and whatever, right? And so the Order of the Roses are like the girlies that like protect everybody. It's like that ice wall in Game of Thrones, like at the beginning, where they have, I didn't watch Game of Thrones or read it, but I like know there's like the wall or whatever. It's kind of like that, except all the people who protect it are girls, right? So slay. Girl bossing. These weird instances in the mist where without warning all of a sudden like these fire things will start and things will be like picked up and like smooshed together. So like if you're a person and you get like picked up and then like a rock gets picked up, you get like smooshed together, and so you become like this weird like human rock hybrid. This is just an example, okay? But it has not only been happening to like people who go in it, but also it's been happening to creatures on the other side of the mist. Now this is where Miss Claire, the author, kind of lost me, because I was like, okay. Based off of the map at the beginning of the novel, I kind of got the feeling, right, that because there's land, then there's the mist, and then there's more land on top, right? I was under the assumption that it was kind of like there's just this random like mist wall in the middle of this country, right? And throughout the novel, they had talked about something called like the old country or olden country. And the way they talked about it, it seemed like it was sort of like myths, right? And so in my mind, when they're like, oh, the olden country, I was thinking like, oh, it's like how people refer to like mythology, like Greek mythology or like Norse mythology in like the Middle Ages, right? It's kind of like, oh, it's sort of like the history, but it's also like myth at the same time sort of thing. That's kind of the vibe I was getting. But no. Apparently I don't comprehend things in my brain properly, or I was just hella fucking confused during the reading of this book, like prior to this moment, because I thought they were talking about like mythology-esque, history-esque, right? But no, it's a real place. The old country is like a physical place that exists like currently at that time, at the same time as them. So in the olden country, they have like all these mythical creatures there, like unicorns, right? And so I kind of wish that the point of like the olden country aspect was more clear, because I feel like that's not clear enough to the reader. Like at the beginning that like, hey, it's not just like a little myth, a little legend. Oh, the explanation of where the olden country is, don't come at me if I'm wrong, because I'm still a little bit also confused, but it doesn't matter. So basically, to get to the olden country, you have to go through the mist, right? So on the continent, right? Let's say this is the continent. This is the piece of land, this clip. And the mist is right here in the middle. On one side we have like civilization, on the other side we have other civilization. Up top, this is not the olden country on the other side of the mist. No. I thought that'd be at the beginning, like when they were talking about the olden country in this part where she's showing them the corpses. No, that is not correct. To get to the olden country, it's like this weird, it's so confusing. It's like weird alternate dimension sort of thing, where to get to it, from either side, you go into the mist. Like you go into the mist and you have to pass through, like swim through, well, you're not swimming, but you go through the mist, right? Because normally you can't, like let's say you're on this side of the country, you're walking, you can't just walk through the mist and get to the other side, right? You can't do that, no. They have greenways to go from one end to the other end, right? So if you go into the mist, you like walk enough and you get to like portals or doors or however it works, and then you get to this olden country, which is like I wouldn't say it's like an alternate dimension, but it's like another world that you can only access through the mist, right? So that's the explanation of all of the mist stuff because I was kind of really confused. And I feel like maybe this is something that needs to be more clear, or at least the reader can't be a dumbass like me, and then they can kind of actually understand what is going on. The moral of the story with this part is there's something spooky ooky going on, right? Because like there's the weird thing with the mist and like people getting hurt in the mist, which apparently has never happened. Apparently the mist is normally like super chill and like fun, chill vibes, like sort of thing. So people are like, oh my god, people are getting hurt, like what's going on? Oh, also, the other thing too is normally the Order of the Roses, they don't often find like creatures from the olden country like come through the mist into like their world sort of. And so that's another indicator like, oh, something's going on. Why are all these creatures like coming and being like all deformed and stuff? And also apparently villagers have been having like these weird visions to, I don't know, I can't remember if it's villagers like who live sort of near the mist, I think maybe. And yeah, there's like just a bunch of stuff that the Order of the Roses is like trying to deal with. Okay, and so that's where we're at right now. I'm going to read more and update you. It's a weekend, so I have lots of time to read today, so I'll probably be in the same clothing. But my plan is to get through the rest of the book today, so that's what that is. And I want to finish filming this today as well, because it's just taking a while, just because like I like work full time, and so I have a lot of other priorities that I have to, you know, do first before I can necessarily read all the time. So that's the sitch with that. So I will be back and updating you very soon, in your time, not in my time. Okay, y'all, so it hasn't been too long since I last updated you, but Miss Gemma, so after her little like kiki with her sister Myra, Miss Gemma has to go home, right? And so she starts to go towards the greenway to go back home when she hears like this weird like singing sort of thing, and the singing draws her into the mist. And from that point on, like after she hears the singing, it's like this super weird, I wouldn't say dream sequence because like she is awake, but it's almost written like that. Like the vibes are very spooky ooky Halloween-esque. I want to say it was super well written. I liked it a lot. It gave me all the vibes that like I'm sure I was supposed to get, sort of like confused, a little bit weirded out, like intrigue. Like it was really well written, this sequence. So like props to the author for that. I was like, oh, okay. And it was super strange, and basically it ends with like her like up a tree, because she like doesn't really know like what happened. It's super weird, but she ends up in a tree, and this one of the roses finds her and like escorts her back to the greenway so she can get home. Yeah, but I just wanted to give a little quick update that there was this super like sort of dream-esque sequence that was like kind of really cool. I liked it, and it was well written. So yeah, so we're gonna fast forward in time a little bit, okay, because I'm just skipping to some more interesting stuff, like I said I would, because I'm trying to be more concise and stop being a little gabby gabber. Okay, Miss Gemma and her family are at a ball. The queen is throwing a ball. Okay, Miss Gemma is kind of having a little bit of a rough time. I think that is the nicest way to put it. She is going through it, Miss Gemma. Okay, like it was a bit hard to read, in a sense like it wasn't bad writing, it was just like you could sort of feel this girl's like pain through the novel. And so that's what kind of made it hard to read, because I was like, oh, like you really empathize with her. Her friend, the perfumer, okay, sorry, 1 second, I have to pause this because my cat is being bad and I have to go get him to stop doing something. Hello, I'm back, I'm so sorry. Okay, so her friend, the perfumer, the one who told Miss Gemma that her boyfriend Talon stunk, Remember her? So her friend, who she hasn't seen in like several months, is helping her. She's consoling her, you know. She's trying to help Gemma get through this. Being a good friend, even though they haven't spoken in several months, they haven't like hung out, they haven't exchanged letters, nothing, right? But her friend is being a good friend, okay? And so she's trying to help her and everything. But then, and they sort of like, because they were in a bathroom, they exit the bathroom into like the ballroom. And as soon as they exit, guess who Miss Gemma has spotted with her little eyes, with her little delusional eyes? Talon, you are correct. Good job. Ding ding. Gold star for you. Now, here's the issue, okay? They haven't seen each other in a little bit, in a little while. And if you remember, they ended things on bad terms. They had a falling out, and she was like, you need to go, get out. And so he did, like, leave their estate because he was staying with them. And so the split second Miss Gemma sees Talon, guess what happens? Miss Gemma's like, oh, I'm fine now. Let's go. I'm all good. I have no pain. I wasn't, you know, I was just crying and screaming in the bathroom literally 2 seconds ago. But now everything's all Gucci. I'm all good because I see Talon, the love of my life. And her friend stares at her and she's like, what is wrong with you, Gemma? What is wrong with you, Miss Gemma? Okay, this is obviously not how the conversation goes, of course, I'm paraphrasing. But she's like, oh my God, something is wrong with you. Because literally 2 minutes ago, you were like throwing up, crying, puking, screaming on the bathroom floor. And now like everything is handy dandy. No, like we should go home. Like you need to rest. This is her friend telling Miss Gemma this. She's like, you need to like rest, you need to calm down, like you need to get away from this man because like he has a hold on your brain that's just not healthy. And I agree with her friend, okay? Her perfumer friend is like, I understand you haven't seen him in like 2 weeks, girl. Like I get it, it's been tough, it's been a tough time, right? But like you're not doing well, like let's go home. And so the two of them like have a disagreement. Okay, sorry, my cat was being like a freaking crackhead, okay? So, is like, she's like, if you act like this, don't expect me to help you next time. And she leaves. Like, she's being, you know, a girl boss. And she's like, hey, if you don't value my help and if you don't value our friendship, whatever, girl, like, see ya. And she heads out. And I'm like, slay. What does Gemma do? She doesn't think twice of it. She just starts walking to Talon. And I'm like, girl, you potentially just lost your best friend who you have been friends with for like your whole entire life for this man who you have known for like, I think at this point it's been like 3 months, and who for the last 2 weeks you have not seen, and who like left because you guys had a disagreement. When I say Miss Delusional, I do mean Miss Delusional. Yes, I do. And so, I can't with this Gemma girl right now. I'm like, what actually is going on with you? Like, nobody, like, rationally thinks like this. Like, nobody. Except, remember my prediction that I think Talon is a demon, and I think he has some sort of, like, mythical, magical hold on her, because why else would she be acting a fool like this? Exactly, right? My thoughts exactly. We are on the same wavelength with this thought process. I know you think like I'm thinking right now. I know you are, right? And so, yeah, Gemma doesn't care because she's making gaga eyes or goo goo gaga eyes at Talon. She's like, I don't care. I see my mans. Okay, whatever. You do you, girl. Whatever, it's your life. Yeah, the way this girl's emotions switch up is super concerning, okay? And it seems really unnatural. You need to see a therapist, I think. Unless it's Talon's magical hold. Okay, yeah, and I wrote, like, obviously she's going through something. I think maybe a little bit, perhaps. Because of what happened in the mist and her inner dialogue, it sort of has the vibes of her slowly losing her mind. I did indeed write that down. Yeah. But then something happens at the ball. So yeah, Tal and her, like, they walk towards each other and they're like, oh my god, hey. Oh my god. Oh, I almost forgot to mention this part. When Miss Gemma and her friend are having a disagreement, Gemma is like, I think I love him, to her friend. And her friend is like, okay. Sure you do, sweetie. Sure you do. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So apparently Miss Gemma loves Talon now, even though, whatever. It's a giant freaking steaming mess, in my opinion, their relationship. But then something kind of crazy happens, and I'm about to get into it with you, so you better be ready. Okay, her mother, Miss Gemma's mother, who left when she was really young, and who has been like missing / gone, well, she hasn't really been missing, but she like left for the last 12 years, who has been gone for the last 12 years, okay? Guess what happens? She suddenly appears at the ball. Her mother, who has been missing / gone for 12 years, since Gemma was a tiny little child, suddenly appears at this ball, okay? And she's all like tattered and like in rags, okay? And she starts screaming. Like, she runs up to Gemma's dad, Miss Gemma's dad, and starts screaming about how something called specters took her, which are kind of like ghosts, okay? And which is like an unheard of thing. And she's like, oh my god, they took me, but I broke out and I found my way back to you. All this. And it's like this huge thing. And like everybody's in disbelief, and it's like the intrigue, like this plot twist I was not expecting, and it was so good. I ate it right up. Okay. Okay, it was really, really great. And then another plot twist happens that is even more crazier than that. Okay, like when I tell you it was insane, like I had to put my book down and get up and walk around my living room a little bit, because I was like, excuse me? That's how crazy it was. So then something even crazier happens, okay? Sorry, I'm getting really heated about this, because I'm really, it was insane. I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, I need to tell you right now. Something even crazier happens. Turns out it wasn't her mom. No, it was Trina Basque. It was one of the Basques. She had on this like full body glamour thing, which is weird because people are like, how did she get into the castle with that, since apparently it's like impossible because of the wards. Yeah, turns out it was a Basque, like masquerading as their mother. And originally she had like gone up she had gone up to Miss Gemma's father and was like, oh my god, my love. And her dad starts like crying because he thought like his wife, who had been missing for 12 years, had like come back. And so he was like sobbing, and then it turns out it was a Basque. Okay. And this plot twist, amazing. I loved it so freaking much. It was so good. Oh my god. Yeah, and then her brother Ryder just starts like pounding, like beating up Gemma's like father in the middle of this ball, and everybody's like, what the hell? Because this whole thing was basically to humiliate the Ashbourne family, because remember the feud, right? So it turns out the Basque did this in retaliation because of public humiliation that they received at this like tournament concert thing that they were at, right? I think I skipped over that. I didn't really tell you about that part, but basically Miss Gemma and Talon at a tournament like put a spell on Trina and it embarrassed her, and then later at a concert where Farron was playing, Miss Gemma's dad beat up Ryder like in public because he started to go like crazy and was trying to like run towards fame. And basically the Basques got publicly humiliated at this concert and tournament thing. And so the Basques in turn publicly humiliated the Ashbournes at this ball. And it was a great public humiliation. It was really good, like top notch. It was top notch. Yeah. And so I was living for it. I was living, loving, laughing for these two plot twists that happen sort of like in short succession, but they were so good. Yeah. And I think you will like it too when you read it as well. I am back. So, guess what happens after that very lovely display of public humiliation for the Ashbourne family, right? Miss Gemma, of course, goes and starts making out with Talon outside. Yep. She doesn't go to her father, who's been like humiliated, who probably was traumatized because he thought his wife had returned, or her, sister, who, whose mother it also is, who remembers their mom more than Gemma does. No. She goes outside, she follows Talon outside. He's like cleaning her wounds because remember earlier she was on the bathroom floor bleeding and they start making out. Yes, that is the direction that she decides to take after all of that happens. Yeah, and Miss Gemma is basically like, I've missed you so much and I just want to feel better. Because like honestly her life is like gone to shit right now, and so not sure if like making out with your boy toy / a guy that your friend says is bad news is the best idea in the whole world, but that's the idea that she decides to take. Okay, your life, girl, your life, girly, you do you. And then in the middle of their like throes of passion, which is like them making out, she starts to like change, like her whole body starts to change, and she gets that glamour that she got the night that she had to like attack her lady's maid, like defend herself against. But that was like just her face or whatever, but this is like her whole body, like everything, and she's like all shiny and like her hair is different and her face is different and all this stuff, right? And she has like sharper features, right? And this is like super random, like randomly this happens. Okay, and Talon, as one would expect, freaks out because like someone changes completely in front of your eyes and you're like, what? Yeah. So Talon freaks out. But like he's all like super, super distraught. And he's saying things like, why didn't you tell me? And like, I didn't know. And he basically like looks at Miss Gemma with like a face of disgust, like disgust and contempt, and then runs away. Like scampers away. So in this span of like maybe an hour at this ball, they reconnect after not seeing each other for 2 weeks because they had a fight. They, reconnect, make out. He's disgusted by her and then he runs away again. All in the span of like a ball, this happens. And so I'm kind of like, oh my God, Gemma, like this is the man that you are like, I think I might love him. Okay. I think it's very weird how he suddenly was like, why didn't you tell me this? As if she knows like what's going on. And while it's happening, she's like, I don't know what was going on. Like this has happened before. But the way he's acting, it's almost as if he knows why she's changing like this. Or maybe like he knows like the reason behind it. Maybe he's the, well, no, I don't think he's the reason behind it because he was like really shocked by it. But it almost seems like he knows the reason behind why she's changing. And he's like, oh my God, why didn't you tell me that? And like runs away. And I'm like, okay. And this makes me super curious because now I'm thinking like, is Gemma actually not human? And something else perhaps, right? And I think Talon knows more than he's letting on, right? And it sort of seems like this puts a wrench in his plans, perhaps. Like if she's something not human, and maybe it trips him up as this demon, perhaps, that I think he is. These are all very interesting thoughts that, you know, I was having while reading this part. So later on, like after a bit, Miss Gemma has a little bit of a come to Jesus momente, if you will, right? And she's basically like all girl boss, and she's like, I don't need Talon, I'm going to find the demon on my own. She's like, big slay, I got this. I don't need a man. That's sort of like what she decides to do, right? So then Miss Gemma devises this plan and she starts spying on her family, like her dad and her sister Farron, okay? And she's spying on them because she's trying to figure out the location of a secret greenway, which she has gotten in her head somehow, because like she's like, oh, I need to know where the secret greenway is because she somehow thinks that it will lead her to the demon. I don't know where she got these conclusions from, how she's drawing this evidence together. There's no evidence supporting this theory, which I personally would want, but you know, be it as they may. She's spying on them, trying to figure it out. And after a few weeks, she does this for like several weeks. Also, during this like montage, I would call it, I live for the montage of this, like her spying on everything. It was so much fun reading that. Okay, so after a few weeks of spying, her dad and sister finally lead her to it, okay? And, oh yeah, and so while she's there, she witnesses, like after they go through the greenway, she witnesses a conversation between her dad and Farron, where her dad is like, all I want is revenge on the Basques, and I want them all to die. And this is the dad speaking. He's telling this to Farron, and he says, so you need to know where he is. This is how he words it. You need to know where he is. Super hella cryptic, right? Right. Also keep in, yeah, like it's so cryptic, okay? And they say this like in front of this like weird doorway thing, and he's like, this is where he is. Don't ever enter it. There's wards surrounding it, so I'll know if you go inside, like if you enter through this doorway to see him and like all this stuff, right? So and then her dad and Farron peace out. They leave. They go back home. Miss Gemma does not go back home though. Oh, no. It would be foolish of you to think that she would go back home. Like any rational person, maybe I should go home, you know, make a plan, figure out what I should do. No, Miss Gemma is like, now is my time to shine. That's her whole shtick, in my opinion. Okay, so Gemma decides to go through this doorway thing, even though she just heard her dad tell Farron that it's warded to like alert him of people there. She does it anyways. Miss Gemma goes through the doorway, okay? And when I tell you, while reading this sequence, how enthralled I was enthralled. I was captivated. I was trapped within the pages of how fascinating this section was. This next section after she goes through the doorway, okay? I definitely love the writing, specifically in this sequence. It was very good, okay? Right now, it's about halfway through the book, though. It's been going at a pretty good pace, I want to say. The beginning is like kind of a bit slow, but the whole first half of the book itself is not like so slow that it's like dragging on. It's like freaking, you're like, when will this ever like continue? It's not like that. And so far, halfway through the book, it's not like we're rushing through big thing after big thing after big thing after big thing. It's well paced so far ish, I want to say. And I have been pleasantly surprised with the plot and the different events that have taken place. Surprised in a very pleasant manner, right? Yeah, the events and like the plot twists and everything, it's not going in the direction I thought it would. And I'm not upset about it. Okay. I may have been wrong. Now, do I like that I'm wrong? No, I don't. But I'm willing to admit it for your guys' sake that my prediction was incorrect. Okay. Now, spoilers. Talon is not the demon, the man with the three-eyed crown. Okay? He's not. The reason being, okay, but I do want to say, Talon's still hella suspicious. I'm not letting go of Talon being suspicious. No. Not in any way, shape, or form am I letting go of that point. He's still very suspicious, but he's just not the demon with the three-eyed crown. Okay, good, we're on the same page. So, she goes through the doorway, right? And she meets the demon. She meets the demon with the three-eyed crown, which is why I know it's not Talon, okay? Because she physically meets the demon, right? And it seems as though he's like trapped in this weird like forest thing it seems like a sort of a prison. Like you go into the doorway and it's like a forest sort of situation, and it seems like he's trapped in there, right? It's hella creepy, but I kind of liked it. Like it's creepy in like a good way, not like creepy in like a horror, like, oh my god, is something gonna jump out and like scare me kind of way. But it was spooky ooky in a good way, okay? And the reason I think it's a prison is because he talks about like, oh, when your dad comes to visit, like he's so boring, at least you're cool. Well, he doesn't say cool, but he's kind of like, at least you're like a new face, which is why I think it's a prison. Which kind of brings up some points. I'm like, okay, so this whole time, Miss Gemma's dad had a demon trapped, which he could have maybe used for his bidding against the Basques, again, for like their rivalry. Why didn't he? And also, how did it get trapped? Why is it like trapped? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of, like, I want more info on why this demon is here. Hopefully that is sort of revealed to us because she is only just meeting him. Okay, right? So she's in there kikiing with the demon. Miss Gemma is like, let's strike a deal. She wants to make a deal with the demon, and I'm thinking, is it time for Gemma to get her magic? Is that what's about to happen? No, it's not. So they strike a deal, and actually she's becoming less selfish, and I like it. She's not just thinking of herself, even though she's chronically in pain. I will tell you what she does. So basically the deal is the demon will help end their feud with the Basques forever, okay? And the demon can have like Miss Gemma's mind, body, soul, everything for the rest of eternity until the demon doesn't want it anymore, okay? That's the deal. And the reason she kind of does is she's like, I want to help my family. I want, to be able to do good for my family. Like, I don't want it to just be like my dad only sees Farron and is like, oh, Miss Gemma can't do anything to help, right? Because like Gemma knows like her dad is going to basically destroy himself trying to get revenge against the Basques for what they did to him at that ball, right? And so Gemma is like not only thinking of herself, she's being selfless. We love to see, okay? And the demon is like, okay, yeah, cool, let's do it, you know, T. Before they make the deal, he wants her to like do this little task for him to see like if he'll make the deal, okay? And the task is Miss Gemma has to place this like sort of weird eye looking object. I think it's like not very big, near her sister Farron when she plays, because her sister like plays the piano and sings, okay? And that's her like magic talent. Is that kind of a lame talent? Yes, but doesn't matter. It's part of the story. And basically it's because the demon wants to hear her play and enjoy hearing her play. And then they said, okay, once you do that, once I hear your sister, you know, play a little tune for me, we'll have our bargain. Meaning Miss Gemma will like save her whole family from all this heartache and hardship and everything, right? Which they have been dealing with their whole lives with this feud with the Basques, right? And so I'm like, okay, that's not like a difficult thing to do. Like, oh, she ends up like putting it in like a potted plant near her sister's piano, like, you know. And that's where we are right now in the story. Yeah, I will read more and update, but that kind of is like, that's such a like stupid little task. Like, it's like, oh, I want to hear your sister play and then we'll have this deal where I can have your soul for the rest of eternity. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, let's keep on trekking through this book. Yeah, we're like halfway-ish now, so 300-ish pages, because the book's about 600 pages. It is a thick boy, but we love, so can't really complain. Okay, y'all, yes, I am standing up because I just had to put down the book and walk around the apartment for like several minutes. Yeah. Tea, the biggest goddamn tea ever. Ever, okay? I audibly gasped out loud and I had to get up and walk around because it's so goddamn good. I just ate it all up. Oh my God. So, I kind of don't want to tell you what it is because it's so freaking cool. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens, but it involves the demon and you will not see it coming. It's not that Talon is the demon. That's not what it is. But I'm not going to tell you what it is because I want you to go see it for yourself. And I don't want to like give away every single thing. It's really, really good. All I'm gonna say is it results in Miss Gemma's skin, like her whole goddamn skin, glittering all the time, and it's not a glamour. So think about what you think it is. Yeah, it's on page 307, so watch out for that. Okay, well, yeah, 307 and maybe like a few pages before it for like the build up and everything. So keep a little eye out for that there for you. I don't know why I just winked. That was so weird. Oh my God, ignore that. When I am telling you the amount of tea that is going on, my little old heart can't take it. Okay, this is a big T with like 50 million A's, putting it right across the screen, T, okay? This is also like sort of a bit in quick succession to the next, or the last thing I just told you. It literally has not been long, like at all. So a huge reveal was made and I'm loving it. Little me is loving the reveal. Yeah, I don't want to say much because I don't want to spoil everything for you guys because I feel like I'm spoiling too much and it's not really fair. But our lovely Miss Gemma, who we cherish and who we think is delusional, but who is slowly becoming a different character, like getting that character progression, okay? and that character change and that, you know, all the good fun stuff that we love to see, she does have magic. She does have magic indeed. Yeah. So, I was right. I was right in one of my predictions. Maybe I wasn't right about Talon being the demon, but I was right about Miss Gemma having magic. It's also a coincidence that she didn't ask the demon to like get magic and powers and stuff. So I mean that's good, because then it's like, what, she's gonna have double magic? Like the demon would be like, you already got that, like this deal would be pointless, right? Kind of a weird coincidence that she didn't ask for magic. Anyways, this is a situation with this, okay? When she was little, her parents did something to repress her magic. So her dad and her mom. So I was right that her dad did suppress her magic, okay? And as a result of the thing that they did, I don't want to get into it because it's like a weird long explanation. But as a result of this, her magic makes her sick, which is why she's sick being around magic. It's kind of like a side effect, right? It's very City of Bones, you know, what, Clary Fairchild, whatever that girl's name is. Very like Shadowhunters-esque. Love it though. We love a suppressed magic storyline and a girly who discovers, you know, her true potential. We love all that. So I can't fault the author. We love. Yeah, but like the way she does it, it's not like a played out version in my opinion. It's not like the same old like, oh my god, she has magic. It's very like new and fresh and fun, and I like it. Yeah, it has its own like fun, unique twist on it. So I think that's why it doesn't feel played out to me. But this is like actually the result of why Miss Gemma has the glittery skin. Like, this is the only thing I think of during this scene, where like when they're talking about her glittery skin, this is what I think about. Edward and Twilight. Yes. It's the skin of a killer, Bella. That's Miss Gemma. She's gonna be the Talon. It's the skin of a killer, Talon. That's gonna be her. I know they won't have that because like copyright, like that's a different, you know, book series, but that would be so fun. Oh my god. Anyways, yeah, so Miss Gemma has magic and now her skin is glittery. Kind of a big slay. I don't know if I would want glittery skin all the time. Like, and then she's like, it's every single part of her body, like every single part the sun don't even see are glittery. So yeah, let me know if you would want glittery skin all the time. I think I would like to be able to turn it off, you know, because I think sometimes it would just be too much all the time. Like I'm in the office, I'm working away at my desk, and I'm sitting there and I have glittery skin. That's not really like, you know, conductive to a very like chill work environment, you know? But it would be hella fun to go out into the sun and have glittery skin like Edward from Twilight. So I think overall I would like to turn it on and off. That's my, you know, prerogative, but let me know if you would want glittery skin. Okay, so I have read quite a bit since I last talked to you. And I have all of the, I guess, updates going on. I'm trying to keep this as concise and as quick as possible. Okay, let's go. So, after Gemma finds out she has magic, she goes to her perfumer friend's house. She shows up, and you know, her friend is being a good friend. She lets Miss Gemma in, and Miss Gemma has been resting there at her place, okay? So, because she's kind of like, injured, so she needs to heal. And she doesn't want to be at home because like her dad betrayed her and everything, right? So, while Gemma is healing up, guess who shows up? Let's take a little wild guess, shall we? It's Talon, yes. Good guess, you are correct. It is Talon. Yeah, this man gets on my nerves so much because he leaves, he comes back, he leaves again because he's disgusted with her, and then He shows up because she's hurt and he heard that she got hurt. This man. Okay. So, Talon comes and he's all like, boo-hoo, you know, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Wah, wah, crybaby. And Gemma is like, no, dude, you left me, right? You left me alone when I needed you. This is Gemma talking, right? She's like, what? Why'd you do that, right? And he's all like, but I love you so much. Wah. Keep in mind that after they had a falling out after the Queen's Ball, he ran away. Then he came back, or yeah, he ran away because he was so disgusted with her, and now he's back. Yeah. Oh, and after the Queen's Ball, after he was disgusted with her, when Miss Gemma was like being a little, you know, 007 super sleuth spy, Talon was actually at her house. This was after the ball, before Gemma like figured out she had magic. Talon was at her house with her dad for 2 weeks and he did not speak to her one time. Not once. He ignored her and went out of his way to like not talk to her. Yeah. And now he's back and he's like, I love you so much. I love you so much, Gemma. Okay. Sure, dude. You were literally in the same house for like 2 weeks. You couldn't have like said any of this then. Like I could understand like maybe a few days afterwards, like processing the fact that like she changed suddenly in front of you. Okay, that's fair. 2 weeks though? 2 weeks? No, that's ridiculous. Yeah, also the reason Tom was at her house was because he was helping Gemma's dad with like his revenge plot, okay? And like trying to like keep in the good graces of her family. So I'm like, oh my god, whatever. Okay. Yeah, and now when he's like, sorry, he just says like, sorry, like, I'll just go, like, my bad, I'll just leave. Miss Gemma is like, no. She's like, no, don't leave. Sorry, I'm trying to do the Australian accent from H2O. No. I'm really bad at accents. But I know you know what I mean. From H2O, they're like, no. Ugh, okay, I'm gonna stop doing it now. But she's like, no, don't go. Like, girl, do you remember how terribly he treated you, like, and ignored you? And I literally put an emoji, like the upside down smiley face. I'm like, this is how I feel towards Gemma. Like half of the book. I mean, not half the book, but like half the time I'm like, girl. Good Lord. Okay. And then after she's like, don't go. Ooh, she's like, come inside. Because like into her little cottage that she has on her friend's property. She's like, come inside and show me you really love me. I'm like girls, priorities. This is not one of them. Like, you have a demon potentially like coming after you, Gemma, and you literally just went through something super traumatic, and you're like, yes, this is definitely what I want to spend my energy and time on. No, it's not. Okay. Yeah, and so they're in the cabin having, you know, a grand old time together, right? And then later, like after they're like asleep and like the next day or whatever, I read like a lot, so this is like all happening at once. So later at night, they hear like these noises and they're like, oh my god, what is it? And basically these weird women kidnap Miss Gemma, okay? And like Talon goes out to like fight them, and Gemma's like in the cottage and she's like, oh no. And then one of the women comes inside and like kidnaps her. And later when Gemma wakes up, these strange women, when I say strange women, they're strange because they're like kind of half decayed. They have like flowers sewn onto like different parts of their body, like really like creepy, grotesque sort of women. That's why I say weird women, okay? And so these women are kind of like, or at first, Miss Gemma is like, oh my god, they killed him. They killed Talon, because before they knocked her out, she saw blood. And so when she wakes up in this new location surrounded by all these women, she's like, what did you do to Talon? And in her inner dialogue is like, oh my god, he's dead. And these women, they're like, no, sweetie, he ran away. It's like, we didn't kill him. He killed 2 of our women, like 2 of our girls, and then he ran away. And I'm just thinking, you got a real keeper there, Gemma. Real keeper. Anyways, so it turns out these women are called Vilas, and she's basically like kept at their camp for like a few weeks, and the one who is kind of like guarding over her, Pyandra, they kind of become a little bit friends, a little bit of besties, like low-key besties, right? So Pyandra, she tells Gemma kind of like the tea of like why they look the way they look and such. And so essentially this like necromancer family like would take all these women who had been betrayed and who had like just died, and they would bring them back to life as like these Vilas, and these Vilas would basically do the bidding for these necromancers because they like consume people's souls and stuff. So the Vilas would go out and like get them people so they could get their souls and like get them like treasure and whatever, right? But Pyandra is like, I want to be free. Like, I don't like this life. And Pyandra has 2 Vila friends who also are like, I concur, let's do something about this. So they tell Miss Gemma basically the reason they kidnapped her, well, like the head Vila, who's not on their side, kidnapped her is because the necromancer family wants Miss Gemma's soul, okay? It takes like a really weird turn suddenly. I'm like, okay. I'll talk more about this in the review though. So basically this necromancer family wants Gemma's soul because they felt her use her powers, and they want her soul now because they're like, oh, she's powerful, yada yada, right? And her friend Pyandra wants to fight the necromancer family and be free, okay? Oh, the necromancer family, they're called the Braithriuses, whatever. I'll just call them the necromancer family because I can't. The names in fantasy novels are weirdly difficult for no reason, but whatever. And so yeah, they want to be broken free, and so they kind of create like a little girl group, and they basically start working on Gemma like mastering her magic and getting it to return so that Miss Gemma can fight this necromancer family, okay? When I say I'm right, okay? Who here is correct? That would be me. Yes, you were right. Turns out, you know, I said, oh, my prediction about Talon being the demon isn't correct. Yeah, no, I was correct. He is the demon. He is the man with the 3-eyed crown. So, who is literally the smartest person ever to ever exist? Me, I think. Okay, no, obviously not. But I do feel pretty hyped up right now. I'm very how can you explain it? I'm feeling on top of the world because I accurately guessed something about the novel before I even read it based off of the synopsis, because I am a book genius. Yeah, you heard it here, right, folks? No, I'm not, but I'm right. So Talon is a demon. Yeah, so, and you know how we figured this out? It's not, because Talon came and rescued her and is like, I have a secret to tell you. No, Miss Gemma found out all on her own. Yeah, and Talon's a snake. He's a big old snake. And I don't like his character. No. Their chemistry is like, it's just so, I just can't. Like, how can I describe this in a way that you can understand? It seems unnatural because it's like there's no basis for their relationship. It went from Talon like manipulating her emotions and him like ignoring her and running away to them suddenly being in love, and I'm like, what is going on? You know what I mean? So yeah, Talon is the demon, the man with the three-eyed crown. Okay, but not in the way you think. No. And I quite like that it's not in the way you think. I'll explain how I guess Miss Gemma figured it out all on her own, not with Talon's help, because he's useless. Okay, let's get that straight. So, oh, also, her little like Pyandra and like her other two Villara friends, whatever. I can't remember how I keep on pronouncing them. Whatever. The other two little creepy girls, they think that Miss Gemma is Fae, okay, because of her magic is so crazy and out there. This was like before she found out that Talon was a snake and demon. So they think Miss Gemma is Fae. Now, are we surprised that Fae has come into the equation of this fantasy novel, even though previously it was not a thing? No, we're not. I'm pretty sure that was another prediction of mine. I'm pretty sure I was like, oh, I think there's gonna be Fae in this. I don't really remember if I said that, but even if I didn't, we're not surprised because Fae are like freaking everywhere with fantasy novels right now. It's like, if there's not a Fae in it, then it's not a fantasy novel. Like, I don't actually think that, but that's how it feels right now with all the fantasy novels. So basically, Miss Gemma is Fae, and they think her sisters are too, and that potentially they think her mom is a changeling, because like her dad is an Ashboard and her mom married in and blah blah whatever, right? So they think that's how Miss Gemma has these like crazy powers, okay? And basically, what happens is Miss Gemma and her, merry band of Villas are out in the woods, plotting, discussing the downfall of this necromancer family, as one does on their Sunday evening. And they basically, like, there's like a long thing that has to do with it, but basically they go through, it's kind of like a greenway, but more like sinister and dark. And on the other side, it's the clearing where the demon with the three-eyed crown is like trapped, or like the clearing where Gemma first met the demon. And so Gemma comes out on the other side with her friends, and she's like, what? And she's like so confused, and she's like, what's going on? And then across the clearing, who does she spot coming into the doorway into the clearing? Mr. Talon. Yeah. But he doesn't look like how the demon looked when she met him the first time. He just looks like Talon. And Miss Gemma goes fucking crazy. She goes bonkers. And she uses her powers to like rip up roots and like traps him. And it's very girl boss, and it's very like, go girl, like you, yeah, like as you should. Like, this man has been lying to you this whole time, and he's the demon that you made this deal with to like sell your soul to, and who at the time sorry, I don't want to spoil it, but like who has been causing the rift of the family and everything. I almost got ahead of myself there, but we're not quite at that point of the story yet, so just wait. And so yeah, Miss Gemma kind of goes a little bit crazy, and she's like interrogating Talon. She's like, oh my god, turns out how he appears as Talon is how he actually looks. So demons just look like regular people in this world. Great, good to know. And so Talon, the demon, the snake, says that both her, Gemma, and her sister are probably Fae. And he's like, I think this. And Miss Gemma is like, why didn't you say anything? And he's like, I suspected it maybe at the ball when you changed, but I couldn't like reveal that I knew anything about whatever, blah, blah, doesn't matter. And turns out that Talon's family was like destroyed and stuff. And he lived in like the olden country, olden area, olden realm that I told you about before, which I gave the explanation on the clock clip. His whole family's gone, so that part is real. But that family, the Diazers, that he said he came from, never existed. So it's not like he killed this whole family to like infiltrate. They just didn't ever exist, right? He was masquerading as this other person as his cover, right? And so basically Gemma is like, so you've been the demon who for hundreds of years has caused this rift between the Ashbournes, my family, and the Basques. And he's like, no, I haven't. And Gemma's like, but you're the demon with the three-eyed crown. What do you mean, sir? Turns out, this was quite a fun plot twist, which I enjoyed. Talon has a master who controls him. Okay? And it wasn't actually Talon who turned like Gemma's family against the Basques and who has been like fighting them. Turns out there has been a slew of like many little what are like mini demon bosses, and Talon is just the most recent one who has been like masquerading or is like the front for this demon. Turns out the master, whose name is Kilrath, okay, he's the one behind everything. And Kilrath is basically like the head, and like he gets like little lower born demons to like masquerade as this man with a three-eyed crown, and like they're supposed to be all the same demon. Like people don't know that it's different demon because Talon is not actually the demon with the three-eyed crown. He's just sort of the latest victim being forced to betray him. It kind of makes up for all the shitty things that he had to do, because it's not just like this Kilrath guy is like telling Talon like, hey, you gotta do this. Like he basically like invades Talon's body and like does things for him. Like Talon has no choice in the matter. Like he can't choose not to do it, right? And so it's like this whole thing. After she's done interrogating Talon, she's basically like, okay, I forgive him, it's fine, I love you. And they have this whole like, I love you. Oh, actually, I don't think she like forgives him, but she's like, I'm willing to like look past stuff like that, right? And we also find out that Talon is like, he can't like run away and like break this hold his master has on him without being like super ill. And so they basically like devise a plan, right? Because Gemma still has to free the like Villias or whatever, Pyandra and her friends. They still have to do that. So the plan is they're gonna free Pyandra and her friends from the necromancers, and then because of the like large output of magic it will like spew out or whatever, it will temporarily hide Talon's location from Kilrath, and so Talon and Gemma can like run away, and then they can deal with Talon's issue of breaking his like chains from his master and being a free little demon boy, right? And yeah, and this, when I say this book has taken quite a drastic turn of like what is going on, I'm not kidding. Like never in a million years did I think all of this stuff would happen, okay? Miss Gemma has had great like character development. Like she wants to help these girls break their curse, and she's like, we can do it, I'm now strong, I'm now powerful. Even though she's still like chronically ill, she's like, we can do anything. And she's not only thinking about herself, she's not focusing on just like having the cutest hair and the cutest dress at all times. Like she's really developed as a person. yeah, but it's also been like kind of crazy the direction the story is going in, like how it started at the beginning. Yeah, I'll talk about this more in the review, but it's taken a definitely an interesting turn. I'm not gonna explain the whole like intricacies of it, but basically they break the Vila curse as a team. Yay, go team, you know, teamwork makes the dream work, right? And they're like, Gucci, T, let's go. I'm sorry for the way I'm talking. I don't know who I am. Basically, they're like, yay, we got this. And Hyandra and the two friends that want to be free, and then Miss Gemma and Talon are like, great, we did it. And so they are like, okay, next phase of the plan, which is breaking Talon's curse. Okay. It is much later in the day. The novel has been finished. Okay. And quick rapid fire, I'm gonna quickly tell you what happens, and then we're gonna get into the review, which I'm gonna film probably a bit later tonight because your girl is tired. Yeah. So basically, to start the task, I also have notes, so I'm just reading from my notes about what happened. Okay, to start the task of breaking Talon's curse, they gotta collect Miss Gemma's two sisters, Myra and Farron. Great. Okay, they gang with the help of the Scooby-Doo gang, with the help of Gareth, who is Farron's friend, head to the Queen to see if she can help, you know, defeat the curse. The reason they get Gareth is because he is an academic, you know, an academic learned man, and he also happens to know a lot about like demons and demonology and like curses and such like that, right? So they're like, we should get Gareth. Okay. They go to see the Queen. It's like a whole thing, okay? And the Queen, okay, she can't help them. They go there, they're sitting there, they have a whole, you know, like discussione with her, okay? And the Queen is like, I can't help you, okay? The reason is because she like touches Talon and she has like this really like vision-esque thing where Talon's master wants the Queen and her power, okay? And the Queen can't risk that. And also the Queen, BT dubs, the Queen is like the most powerful person in their whole like continent, country, world, whatever it is, right? She's like super powerful. And Talon's master, Kilrath, he's not a demon. They don't know what he is. They just kind of label him as other, but he's very powerful and he has like a wide reach, okay? Basically the Queen is like, can't help ya, peace, and she leaves, okay? So later that night, there's like a bunch of these like beasties attacking the palace, okay? Like flooding everything, and it's all this chaos and people are dying and whatever. Turns out it's Kilrath, but they're going for the Queen, I think. So, but the Queen is like all good. She's, you know, she's Gucci. She has like her little safe room or something. Like she's not really in danger. Oh, and Farron like doesn't want to leave the Queen behind. Like she wants to protect her because they're friends and stuff. Anyways, so at one point, oh yeah, Farron doesn't want to leave the Queen behind, so they start running to where she would be. But one of the beast things is like coming towards them and starts attacking them, but they're saved. And guess who saves them? The Basques. Yes, Trina and her brother Ryder saved them. Yes, because turns out ever since the ball, which happened like way more earlier in the book, ever since the ball where the Basques humiliated Miss Gemma's dad, the Basques have been like in prison at the palace. So that's why they're at the palace. They're in prison, and when the beasts attack, the like guards or something let them out, or they escape, something like that. And so the Basques save the whole Scooby-Doo gang from a beast with their powers, because turns out they can control not only birds, but all sort of animals and creatures. So they're not only bird whisperers, they're beastie whisperers. So that's good to know, okay? Right? And so basically they all end up escaping to Gemma's friend's house. So the perfumer, her name, Iliara, that girl, they escaped to her house, okay? And during all this, like the battle and escaping, whatever, there's like these fun little flirty moments between Ryder, the Basque, and Farron, Miss Gemma's sister. Now, was I absolutely living for their interactions? Yes, I was. Did Ryder and Farron have more chemistry and more intrigue to me than Miss Gemma and Talon? Yeah, they did. And that's concerning, considering like freaking Farron and Ryder have barely had any scenes, and it's like near the end of the book, and like I think they have more chemistry than Talon and Gemma. Like, come on now. Like, just it's so cute, like the forbidden romance-esque of it all, you know. When they get to Iliara's house, Gareth finds like this book. I don't want to go into how he finds it, but basically he has a book, okay? And turns out it's magically a book about curses. Now, do I think this was sort of like thrown in there because the author kind of needed a way for them to know how to break a curse? Yeah, kind of. It kind of gave off that vibe for me. It didn't really flow. It was kind of like, oh, we suddenly have this book of curses. Like, because if they didn't get this book, it would have taken them like probably like 100 years to go through all of the palace's records and all their books trying to find like something about a curse, like this specific curse that they could use, and they just happened to find. Anyways, it's just like, I think it was kind of just like thrown in there to kind of like be like, fuck, we need a way to, you know, get them to know how to break this curse, like, and how to, you know, get to the next point of the story. And so I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of sloppy, but whatever. I wish it was more thought out. Instead of like, oh, they have this magic book, ooh. And basically, so what they gotta do to break this curse is they need to travel through the mist, okay, and go to the old country. So they're not going to the north of the continent, they're going into the mist to get to like the other side dimension sort of thing that they have, where it's like the old country, like alternate world, I would say, right? So they need to go there to break the curse, okay? So they do that. Oh, and Gareth can't come because he was too injured, whatever, right? That was like really not, it was kind of like pointless point of like having that in the book. I'm like, what? Okay, anyways, doesn't matter. They're in the olden country, okay? Miss Gemma, Farron, and Myra like sort of become fae, but not really. And Gemma has to like put a glamour over all of them to look how they normally looked. Basically, when they cross over into the olden country, it makes them look like fae, and it kind of like reiterates the fact that they actually are fae. Yeah, that's just a little like tidbit. So basically they're there, and then this I was like, what's the point of this next part? I was kind of like, this is pointless. They didn't really need to have this in the book. I was kind of like, what the actual hell is going on? Basically, they start walking towards where they think they need to go, and guess who shows up? The Necromancer family. Yes, the one that they defeated earlier in the novel. Why did they show up? Girl, I don't know. I'm just like, what the actual reason? Yeah, they show up, there's like this whole battle scene, blah blah blah. All of the like Velias that they defeated previously had been like brought back again to life, so they were even more like creepy and whatever. Oh, and at the end of the book you find out like Pyandria and like the Velas, like the Pyandria and the two other girls that help Miss Gemma throughout the novel and who Gemma helps escape, turns out they can't survive without the necromancers because they were dead before, so they end up like dying. And I'm kind of like sad about that because I kind of love them. They each had like I really liked them. I felt like their characters were like more fleshed out than some of these other like Scooby-Doo gang characters, like the Basques. I'm just like, what? Like these Vilia girls like had their own personality, and they like really shined, and I was like, we love you. And I was kind of upset that they like just die senselessly for no reason. And I was like, I don't know what this has to do with the plot, like why is this in here, but whatever. There's a battle, yada yada yada. Guess who wins? Oh my god, the Scooby-Doo gang. Yeah, you guessed it. Woohoo, go them, you know, rah rah. And oh, I forgot to mention, during all of this, like being at the Queen's palace, like ever since they defeated the necromancer's curse, Talon has been like hella sick. Like he has been super sick, and it's because he's like, his master is like making him ill or whatever because he's trying to break the curse. Okay, anyways, so Talon is sick, and he sees like in the distance his like familial home, okay, like his family's home, which was destroyed when all of his family was like destroyed and stuff when he was a kid. But he's like sick, so he doesn't really understand it, and he just starts running, like sprinting off towards the house in the middle of this battle, right? Because like obviously he's no help, he's ill, he can't do anything, but he starts running away, kind of like that one drunk girl in the group of friends who like for some reason needs to run off and who needs to have like a leash on her throughout the night so she doesn't run off suddenly. That's Talon in this scenario. Okay, he runs off to the family home because he's like, my whole family's alive, and runs off. Okay, this, oh my god, I'm so sorry about the barking. I've never had this happen before at in my apartment. Okay, anyways, so I'll just talk louder and closer. Okay, so the Scooby-Doo gang, once they defeat the necromancers for a second time, they go to the house. Now this next part, I will give it to the author. It's well written, and it's major like spooky ooky vibes. The most, I think, well, yeah, I would say like the most so far in the book. It's really cool. Like they go into the house and it's all like super dangerous, and like it's really well written, and everybody starts to kind of like hallucinate like their biggest fear and everything, right? But Miss Gemma for some reason is able to break out of it. Like it's really weird, okay? But the reason Gemma's able to break out of it, true love. Okay, it's not true love, but I just want to say that for dramatic purposes. It's because she loves Talon so much, and she kept him in her mind during it, and so she was able to break out of her hallucination. Yeah, and so she then helps, I can't remember which sister it is. I think she helps Myra break out of hers. And so Myra goes around the house, and she like is going around to help everyone break out of their hallucinations, while Miss Gemma starts exploring the house trying to find Talon. Okay, basically when Gemma's off finding Talon, she finds Talon. Kilrath like takes over Talon's body, and then Kilrath but in Talon and Gemma have like a fight scene, and they're fighting and whatever, right? And Gemma like comes out victorious, and she defeats him. But like as soon as she defeats Kilrath and like draws him out of Talon's body, the house starts crumbling. Turns out the whole house was like this hallucination thing that Kilrath made to like trap them all, whatever. Or sorry, when I say Miss Gemma defeated him, she didn't kill him, but she successfully broke Talon's curse, so Kilrath had no like anchor onto him. But Kilrath is in no way dead. I want to preface that because that's important. So the Scooby-Doo gang heads back home, okay? And when they get back home, Talon is basically having to go into hiding, right? Because Kilrath is still out there, right? And he has a vengeance for Talon. And the whole reason they did all of this was basically because Talon and Gemma wanted to be together, and they wanted to break the curse so that Talon could be together. But even though they broke the curse, it didn't even matter because Talon had to go into hiding to protect Gemma and like her whole family and everybody in the Scooby-Doo gang who helped out. And so at the end of the book, I was kind of like, ugh, this is so like frustrating, because I want it to be like, yes, they can have, you know, like rah rah, like together forever vibes, whatever. But at the same time, I understand this is the first book in 3. So like they have to leave something for the next 2 books, okay? And that's like basically where the book ends. Is like on that point, okay? And that's the whole book, all 600 pages. I'm sure this video is gonna be like 3 hours, and I'm so sorry. And if you have watched this far, you're the best person to ever exist. I swear to God. So I'm gonna do a review now. So yeah, this next section will be my thoughts on the novel. Hello. This is, I guess, my final review and what I think of this book. Okay, so for a rating, I think I would rate A Crown of Ivy and Glass as, like, I think I would say a 3.9, I think, is what I would rate this book, okay? There's many different reasons why. First, I really enjoyed the writing style of the author, right? It was very, I guess, well written. I could really get into the scenes. I liked how all the characters were written, and the character progression of several characters I also enjoyed as well, especially our lovely Miss Gemma, who we love, who we also think is delusional. I really liked that aspect of it. I also enjoyed the plot twists that happen, in the sense that I enjoyed that I wasn't expecting them. So the plot twists that happened, they were completely out of left field. I liked them, and I liked how it was written, how it was done. Now, some things that I have issues with for this book, or things that like I kind of wish were a bit better, okay? The first one, which if you watched, I guess, the summary section of this video, which is probably so long at this point, I'm so sorry if you watched that, but I appreciate it and thank you. So, the first thing is I was confused. And when I say I was confused, I mean the world building could have been better, right? So especially the beginning of the book, you know, you're getting into it, you're learning what different things are, and I feel like it wasn't as detailed as I wanted it to be, and I didn't understand a lot of stuff that I felt I should have to, I guess, fully be immersed, right? An example, you may ask. Okay, so the gods, what's up with them, right? Oh, so they gave people like magic powers, okay, and certain families got certain gifts, and then certain families were anointed or like low magic, okay? But I don't really know anything about the gods. They talked about them a lot, and they're like, oh, they died for us, and I'm like, but I need more context. I need to know what is going on, okay? Also, a lot of the, I guess, world building in the sense of, like, I don't really know where the Ashbournes are situated as much as I wish they were. So for the countries and the different continents, I was kind of confused. They don't really talk about that a lot. They don't really talk about the differences or anything. And they also don't explain really, I guess, in as depth of detail as I wish the author did about the world building in general, I would say. In general, I wish it gave more than just surface level what's happening. I wish, not that like that's bad, but I was like really confused for lots of it, okay? In the sense, in the sense of like trying to situate myself in how this world works, because they don't really explain that like enough to what I desire, I guess, right? The other thing, so I did mention that I liked all the like plot twists, and it's really well written, don't get me wrong. Like, I felt completely immersed in this novel, except for like when I got confused and then it would take me out, right? The only thing, the thing is, I'm kind of like, is for the first, I want to say like half of this book, and this book is like 600 pages. So the first half-ish of this book, it's very clearly one kind of book. And in the second half of the book, it's like a completely different book. Okay? And what I mean by that is, a good way to compare it is, this book has been compared to Bridgerton and A Court of Thorns and Roses. Okay? The first half of the book does kind of remind me of Bridgerton. It's very, I want you to say, like going to balls and like, oh, there's this boy that I like, you know, and like at the first half there's a little bit of like, ooh, we are making a pact to find this demon. That's all well and good, okay? The second half, it's very kind of like sequence heavy, and it's very much like Court of Thorns of Roses, in the sense of there's like a lot of random stuff that pops up, and you're like, oh, okay, like there's Fae all of a sudden, then you're like, there's necromancers, and they're like defeating these people and blah blah blah. And it does feel like it's kind of like two separate books, in the sense that like the first half, it's very nice, mellow, like going around boy trouble, and the second half of the book is like breaking curses and all this stuff, right? And it's kind of, it felt kind of a bit rushed for the second half of the book. I feel like it needed to be paced better more throughout the novel, right? And it definitely takes like a random left-hand turn halfway through the book, as though the author is writing and they remembered, oh yeah, I want to do this with them, and then she kind of like veers off the road and does this thing, right? Oh, and the other thing too that I want to say that I forgot to mention about the fact that the world building isn't the best, and I felt like there was like background info that was needed. I did mention this before, but this book feels like a second book girly, okay? In the sense that, sorry if you can hear my cat meowing, in the sense that I feel like I should know how the world works already going into this book. Not the fact that like there was events that happened previous to this that continue into this book. That's not what I mean when I say second book girly. I mean second book girly in the sense of, I feel like I should know how this world works the first page, and I don't. And so that's why it's giving second book girly vibes. Do you follow? Okay, good. I am glad. Right? So basically my two big things with this book is, it's a second book girly, even though it's not, because it's the first book, and that it kind of, the pacing is weird, and it gets like kind of really quick all of a sudden. And I wish like the first 100 pages, she doesn't even meet the male lead, which would be fine if this was a romance novel, but it's not. It's like a fantasy, and they're like doing action stuff and blah blah blah, right? And so I feel like it just kind of needs to be paced out better, okay? And so, but I do want to give props. The author does do a really good job of writing, and there's several scenes and sequences where I get fully immersed, and you can like feel the emotions, and you can feel the sense of something's not right, but you can't really figure out what it is. The author does a really good job of that, okay? That's the only thing, okay? And I do also want to preface that I have not looked at, I have not looked at any like reviews. I have not looked at any Goodreads reviews, anything. Everything is just kind of my own opinion. All I did was read the synopsis and I looked at the general rating, but I didn't read anything about it besides that. So this is completely my own thoughts and feelings. Of course, if you feel differently, you are definitely entitled to that. I don't want to tell you how to feel, right? And I don't want to tell you that I think you should also rate it the same way. Of course not. You can rate it however you feel. If you read this book and you love it and you devour it up and it's 5 out of 5 stars, that's wonderful. I am very glad, okay? If you read it and it's not for you, it's not for you. It's not the end of the world, right? But I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it, right? I'm kind of wondering where they're gonna take this because it's supposed to be a trilogy. And the way it ends, it's kind of like, I don't really want to spoil it in case you skipped ahead, but the way it ends, it's I wouldn't say it's tied up neatly in a little bow, but it doesn't end on a cliffhanger in the sense of it ends and you're like, oh, like right before an action scene or right before something big. And so you know the second book is going to get into whatever that is, right? This book kind of ties up, well, sort of ties up what they were trying to do for the last like 100 pages, which was wild. Like all this stuff happened. So in that sense, I don't really know where this series will take us. Because it kind of feels like I'm not sure, and like I could maybe think of like something that might happen, but then like there would have to be other issues that arise suddenly, but it kind of does feel like the end, I guess, the end-ish, I'll say, right? Oh, also I do want to say that kind of near the end, after the author veers off into this like other kind of realm of kind of book, there's like a few things that happen where it feels very much like the author was stuck and didn't know how to dig herself out of this hole, and she only had however many pages left of the novel to kind of finish it up. And so she kind of like made up this thing that kind of solved the problem, i.e. this book that Garrett kind of finds / is given / stumbles upon that kind of like answers a bunch of problems for them that you will see like if you read it and or if you watch the summary part. Yeah, that's kind of like the thing. I was reading that and I was like, this feels very much like the author didn't know what to do and was kind of like, well, they have this magic book now and it solves their problems. Okay. But I do want to say, overall, I liked it. It was good. And I'm hesitant to give it a 4-star because I do have some gripes with it that I wish were better, but it's definitely better than 3 stars. Like, the writing was phenomenal in my personal opinion, which is why I want to give it 3.9 stars. So almost there. Yeah, so definitely take a stab at it if it sounds interesting to you. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you come back for more. I'm not only gonna post book review videos, I'm just kind of posting whatever I feel like, essentially. And I'm kind of gonna get into that more in the second video that's gonna come out. It's like a vlog where I talk about this, like why I'm kind of making videos at the end of the vlog. But in the meantime, until then, I hope you have an amazing, awesome day, because you deserve to have an amazing, awesome day. Bye!